What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Knackers, and today is Sunday, November 17th, 2019, and this is episode number uno. And on the episode tonight, we have Mr. MiddleAgedStream and BishopGP. MiddleAgedStream, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, hey there.
So beefy. Just like, that's what I call sausage voice. Bishop, how you doing today, buddy?
Very good, man. Very good. Super excited. I thought I was going to be a week off, but I'm excited to be here. I was able to get everything together in less than 15 minutes. I'm pretty excited about that.
That was pretty, because you use your camera for other things outside of streaming, right? Okay.
So I have, Casey put a desk next to mine. So when we're playing WoW, she can sit next to me, and then my middle screen's used for Netflix or whatever. So the tripod where that sits at, it's a C stand, is in the way. So I have to disassemble everything and I put it back there. So I had to assemble everything and put it all together. So that's why it probably looks a little different today, but hopefully we're not getting too much.
You did pretty good for the amount of time that you had.
Yeah.
Okay, the real question is, what were you doing in the exact moment that you got Jimmy and I's message?
Dude, I've been playing World of Warcraft, man. I've been playing with so much Classic. Oh, they actually just released PvP in Phase 2. So I've just been keeping my head down and growing a neck beard and trying to get as many honor points as possible. So
okay,
yeah.
All right, dope. Well, good. Well, it's good to have you, buddy. I'm glad we didn't miss out on having you a week.
I'm happy that I saw that message right before it was too late. You know what I mean? By the time you guys would have gotten started. So I was like, oh, thank God. But I'm always here. I'm always happy to talk to people. So
cool.
I'm excited.
Good, because we got some leftover topics that were yours from last week. So it would have been real awkward if we didn't have you, brother.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of stuff that I have different topics this week that I was going to put into the spreadsheet, but there was a crazy thing that happened. But we can talk about that after we get done with the intros. It's a cool topic. It's very interesting.
Okay.
Very interesting.
All right, cool. Then I'll kind of speed through this beginning. During the show, if you guys would like if you would like to ask a question to be answered at the Q&A at the end of the podcast, all you need to do is type !Q followed by your question in chat, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. If we are not live and you would like to send in a question, share a story, give us any kind of advice, or if you need any advice, feel free to shoot me an email at podcast@knackers.com. And lastly, if you enjoy the podcast and you would love to support the show without spending any money at all, please consider either retweeting the stream that will be in chat right about now, or you can leave a review for the podcast on whatever app you listen on. And one final thank you. Somebody just brought up randomly that the Knackers Discord server got boosted to level 2 or level 3. So not only do we get a shit ton more emote slots, we get better audio bitrate for our calls, and we also get the 1080p 60 streaming for Discord. So for anybody that has given the Discord Nitro to the community, I cannot thank you enough. The fact that we have a little bit more audio bitrate for Discord makes me so fucking happy, because then these podcasts will sound just a teeny bit better. It might be placebo.
What did it bring it up to?
256.
Oh, dude, that's double the bit rate.
Yeah, I know.
From 120 to 256?
Not bad, right? Yeah.
Not bad, yeah.
So how does that work? Do you have to have individual people that have turbo, or do they have to specifically spend on the channel itself?
Yeah, you get 2 boosts, and you can use them on whatever server you want. Here was the other thing. So Weenie needed one more boost in order to get her to the next level. So I'm like, you know what? I'll use another boost. And I went to go. So for those of you unaware, you can now buy additional boosts to spend on other servers. So instead of you just only having one boost, and that's the only way that you can get to these higher tiers, you can just buy extra boosts to do your own or do other people's if you want. So I went to her Discord server and I went to hit add boost. So a normal extra boost is $5. Let me bring up this screenshot real quick so I can read this word for word. Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that Windows noise. That's disgusting. Purchase details, $4.99 a month. And it says 30% off. And I'm not really sure why. So then the server boost was $3.49. And then under that, it says boost adjustment, another $2.83 off the retail price. So my ending price to buy an additional boost for Weenie was 66 cents for the month.
Wow.
What? That's it?
I don't know why. I don't understand why it is that way.
Hey, it's a microtransaction, dude. That's perfect.
It pretty much
it's
is.
Easy money.
So again, not exactly sure. There was a little question mark by Boost Adjustment that said this discount includes refunds, discounts, or proration. And I'm like, I don't know if I fit into any of those. So I'm not really sure. So if anybody's feeling frisky, if you are already using your 2 boosts, go to somebody else's server and try and boost it and see how much it's going to cost you. And let me know, because I'm really curious what makes it whatever price it is. Discord Nitro was $5 and then went up to $10, but you were grandfathered into $5 for a certain amount of time. What's the timeline of that?
I'm not entirely sure. Is that part of what you're assuming is the discount for that 66%?
I think so.
That's the prorated discount for Nitro. Because I know that I had Nitro previously, and then they released that gaming segment thing, and I had only had or like the Discord gaming thing where you can download games and they're all free to play or whatever,
which is now gone.
Is it gone?
Yeah, they canned it.
Oh shit. Okay. Because I know that I was only a Turbo member for like 2 months before that that was released, and then I canceled it afterwards because I was like, as much as there's like a bit of value here, I was like, I don't really need it.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't even know why I subscribed to Discord Nitro in the first place. I just I think I just know I wanted it, and I was like, you know what? I've been using this for free for so long.
Right.
This is like when we're talking about giving so much value for free, and then when you eventually release a paid this is like not a philosophy, but the strategy of giving as much shit for free as possible and not asking. And then when you're finally like, here's a thing that I sell, buy it if you want. So many people feel compelled because they've gotten so much value from you for free that they don't mind throwing the $3 or $5. And I think that really holds true with something like Discord.
That's a Gary Vaynerchuk mentality right there.
Jab, 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 right hook, dude.
Jab, 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 right hook right there, bud. But that's value proposition, giving the consumer value up front. Like there's literally no reason to have Discord Nitro. And like I don't know about now, but prior to them releasing that that gaming kind of like their own Steam, there was really no I can't tell you why I bought Discord Nitro. I think it's because they were giving me so much by providing a free service. It's kind of like that OBS thing with you, right? It's like OBS provides us so much and no one pays for it.
Right.
And then Jim's just sitting there. It's like, well, let's make Jim a millionaire. Like, this guy deserves it. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely like an untold but told marketing philosophy where if you provide that value up front, people are for sure gonna buy something from you, even if it means nothing. You know what I mean? Oh
yeah. So just went to discordapp.com/nitro, and it looks like it's $100 if you pay for the year up front. Or $10 a month. So you save 15-20%. Yeah. Custom Discord tag, upload GIFs for animated avatars. Better go live streams. So that's you unlock the 1080p 60. Higher quality video when you share your screen. Global custom emojis. Upgraded upload limit from 8 megabytes to 100 megabytes. Server boosting and rep your support. So really the only things that matter as a general basic noob Discord user, I would say the screen sharing is kind of a big thing. You know, if you're a gamer and you want that sort of functionality, the better upload limit, the global support or the global emotes, and like custom Discord tag, like the number after your username, GIFs for your avatar, whatever. Go live streams. I feel like the going live is like a very, very niche part of streaming, right? It's such for a selected use. So I guess it's really up to you.
Wait, so are you saying that with Discord, they have their own going live element?
Yes. And I've actually been testing it recently too. Yeah.
What does it do? Does it like change your tag? Like you're like telling you that you're live? Because I know that I have a bot that does it called the Phoenix bot.
Oh no, this is actually like you are streaming your video and your audio within Discord, and people can watch your gameplay.
Right. So are you saying like it's a multicasting, or are you only streaming on Discord?
I think I wouldn't think that you could stream on Twitch at Discord at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I know that they added streaming to Discord, which is kind of cool for like, especially like a lot of people are using Discord for different types of communities. Like I know now from like a few different companies I've applied to, they're like, oh yeah, we all use Discord for communication and stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's interesting because it's not that much different. There's a app that's very, very similar to Discord that's more business facing. I'll find the name of it.
Slack.
And, yeah, Slack. That's the one. Yeah. Are they owned by the same people, or is it just two different companies doing the exact same thing?
They're built on the same exact infrastructure.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. Jimmy, do you use Discord Nitro? Do you pay?
I actually wanted to jump on this, and I know you mentioned this in the news, but like, I figure since we're talking about it, we might as well bring it up now. So Discord Nitro, I used to get it, and then I stopped because I feel like I mainly did it to increase my upload size, and it was cheaper back then also when I bought it. And then I kept it for the year, and then when my thing expired a few months back, I just never re-upped it because that was the main reason why I did it. Recently, the Discord and I guess Xbox or Microsoft, they came together with this cross promotion where if you have Discord Nitro, you get 3 months of Game Pass, right? Yeah. Or if you don't want, you can have the Game Pass Ultimate. It converts it to 2 months of that, right? And then also Xbox is doing the same thing, and they give you 3 months of Discord Nitro if you're already an Ultimate member. So I got to double dip, man. I got both. So I got an additional 2 months for free of once I signed up for Discord Nitro with my free Game Pass thing, then I got 2 months of free more of my Xbox. So it was just like, it was awesome. So I got 2 additional months. That's like $15 a month. That's $30. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, and then of course the 3 months of the Discord Nitro, that's another $30. So it's got like $60 worth of shit for absolutely nothing just because I had the Ultimate Game Pass, which by the way, you can still get for just a single dollar. So $1. I know they're probably banking on a lot of people just forgetting they have subscriptions, but that $1 can take you a really, really long way if you want it, even if you just want to cancel. There's other things they're giving away too. 6 months of Spotify Premium, you also get with it. So if you don't have Spotify Premium, or if you have maybe separate accounts, you could get that. And then there was one other thing they were giving away, and I can't remember now what it was. But anyway, just a lot of value, a lot of bang for your buck. So I am back on the Discord Nitro train. Don't know if I'm going to resub to it, but you can't beat free. So I went ahead and took the three free months.
So looks like when you Google Discord Nitro, it takes you to the landing page for it, and it shows you the $10 a month. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that page, you see in a little bit smaller Discord Nitro Classic. Get the base chat perks without a server boost, which is $5 a month. So I think the server boosting is kind of one of the biggest things that they're trying to push with the regular Nitro and the Nitro Classic. And I believe that this split came when they got rid of the gaming, because like the gaming, getting the games kind of and getting the free games, I think was supposed to make the regular Discord Nitro really appealing. But in the end, nobody really cared about it. I mean, they even said like nobody was buying games on the platform, and nobody was even playing the free games that we were giving away. So I think it was a valiant effort, by Discord, but it's kind of one of those like, why reinvent the wheel? Like, you are already number one as far as the community chat and VoIP application on gaming. Like, there's really no reason for you to dip into the game market for more than you just want the revenue. You want that extra revenue or that market share.
Yeah. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me, right? Like, they were basically competing with Steam. Steam already has more games. And then they're also kind of in a middle ground with Humble Bundle, where Humble Bundle, you can subscribe to it and then you get game keys, right?
Right.
So, and if I remember right, you get to keep those games on Steam forever, right? So you basically you subscribe to it, and then they give you keys every month. And then you kind of get those second-rate games, I will call them, right? Not like AAA or even AA titles. I noticed with Discord Nitro, it was like every game was a game that was like something that you could probably get on Humble Bundle, right? I don't necessarily know. Like Discord obviously has a ton of users, and so does Xbox. So they can do these, these subscription models where they basically get someone to spend $5, and then you can play any of these games. I think that there's a lot of value there when it's a game like Sea of Thieves, where it's like, I don't know if I want to play it. I don't know if it's going to survive. But to play it for, like Jimmy said, for $1, you can try it out, see if it's decent. And if you don't want to continue your sub when it goes up to $15 a month or 10 or 5 or whatever it is, then you can do that. I think that that's cool, just being able to kind of dip your feet into the water for certain games. But yeah, I don't know. It was very strange seeing Discord go down that route. It kind of felt weird. It's like this isn't really the space that we know Discord for. But I didn't to be completely honest, it was so irrelevant to me that I didn't even realize that they got rid of it. Like that's that's how little I paid any attention to it. I didn't even know that was no longer a thing.
There was a big announcement about it, but other than that, it kind of went quietly because nobody really raised a fuss afterwards because nobody was really using it. Yeah, they were really trying to push to be a one-stop shop, and there wasn't any reason to. Yes, we always complain about all of these different launchers that are around, and we have to keep people added as friends on different friends lists, and there's the cross-platform play, but we really didn't need another one-stop shop. We already have the one-stop shop, and it's Steam. And while competition is supposed to be great for the consumer, another one-stop shop in that aspect, I feel, is just making our lives a little bit more difficult. And I don't know if that's a great thing to say or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Yeah, too many subscriptions. The problem is that if you oversaturate the market, like Disney Plus just came out, and I guess that's probably another subject. Jimmy, you're probably excited about that because you can watch Star Wars movies constantly. You know what I mean? You get all that Star Wars content, and then you can watch Frozen or another one of those movies. But it's like if there's too many places to subscribe, like even Hulu and Netflix. Like Casey and I watch both, but if there's a third one, it's like, how much content can you really consume?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're spending $5 a month or $10 on each one of these platforms, eventually you're like, holy, like 6 months ago, and this happens to a lot of people on Twitch. You're like, holy fuck, I'm subscribing to like 50 channels right now, and my entire paycheck gets ripped out because of the subscriptions. Because you don't notice like $5 is easy, but if you do it multiple times, it's like, holy shit, I'm spending $60 a month on subscriptions or 70. And it's like, man, eventually it gets to a point, especially when you're a small streamer, it's like, man, everything that I'm profiting off of Twitch goes back into Twitch, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if that's, if you actually enjoy streaming. But if you're doing it, obviously, for the money, which you should be doing, but it's always a nice perk.
You say should or shouldn't?
You shouldn't be doing
it.
I
I just wanted to clarify.
You shouldn't be doing it primarily for the money because it's taxing and mentally. But yeah, it's kind of, I would say that it's kind of like in relation to a pyramid scheme, you're basically making money to put back into Twitch, right, at a certain point. And then you like, if I get 2 people subscribing to me, it pays for 1 subscription back to someone else. And eventually you have 60 subs and you're like, holy shit, this is a fucking nightmare. And you start unsubbing from people, they start unsubbing from you. And then it's just a weird little ecosystem.
And then you get subtweeted how people are fake and they don't actually support you because you're really friends. Oh god,
yeah, it's crazy.
I definitely want to talk about subscriptions a little bit late. I'm not saying I don't want to cut off the conversation, but it's something I want to expand on as well.
Yeah. So hey, if we're ready, you do your part first.
Yeah.
I'm like biting at the teeth to get at this subject. It's actually completely different. We're not talking about people leaving Twitch for once, which I'm excited about. Even though more people have left, but I have an exciting little topic that I'm excited about. So
okay,
I'm ready to tell you what I'm drinking.
All right, cool. Let's do the normals. Yeah. Bishy, what are you drinking tonight? Mule.
Casey whipped this up in the time that I was getting everything ready. It's a mule, but it's a London mule. So it has gin instead of vodka. And it's actually really, really good.
What a lovely lady.
I know. She's the best. Don't ever tell her I said that. I'm sure she's in chat. But
Jimbo, what you got?
I saw the brunch that you guys had earlier. She posted a picture of that on Twitter. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's
son
crazy.
Of a bitch.
Everything she makes is better than the last thing, and then it's just like she keeps. You know how like some people will be good at like 3 or 4 things that they make, and then they'll just stick to that. Casey, she's only made me one thing that was bad, and it was like this pizza that we made, and the dough just didn't turn out great, and that was like the only thing. And usually Usually, like if I was the one cooking, everything would fucking suck. But it was just because we screwed up the bread, and it was kind of my fault.
Wait, we screwed up the bread?
I was helping, and
Come on, were you though?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I was. So the problem with me is like she'll be cooking and she'll be doing things, and I'll just come up and like start bugging her and grabbing her. She's like, "No, shit's gonna burn. Let go of me." So it's like a constant wrestle for her to actually be able to cook. You know?
All right, Jimbo.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I already drank one of these. I don't normally drink ciders, but I was having some heavy hitters yesterday, and I knew today I was gonna probably not want stuff that was gonna be the same. So I got this St. Arnold's honey agave cider, which is actually really, really, really good.
Ooh.
Really good. And St. Arnold's a brewery out of Houston, Texas. And then I'm drinking now. This is a brewery I introduced you to. It's called Seasick Crocodile, and you can kind of see the kind of festive Christmas looking thing.
Yeah.
This is from Prairie Artisan Ales.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's a sour ale with cranberries, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
So I love it, and my 2-word review is it's fucking delicious.
Your mic cut out like at the end of it. Are you muted
wait,
again?
that's 3 words, Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's 3
You're right.
words. Hold on.
Hey,
What the
I
fuck?
never
That's not a
said-
2-word.
I never said that I could do math.
All right, I
didn't count it's as a word, okay? It's just fucking delicious. Fucking delicious.
Can you fill
How
the
about
air
that?
while I go get one of my drinks?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
sure.
Jimmy.
Yes.
Merchandising, man. When are you gonna sell like some nice little mustache things, mustache related things? You know, just like stick on mustache for all the fans. $5.
I had a goal to do some new merch and stuff. The problem is I want it to be like kind of one-stop shop where you can kind of show and feature it while you're streaming and get those. And the only way you can do that is through like the Streamlabs store or Stream Elements, you know? And they're just limited on the things that you can put up for sale. And then they started a pricing factor too. Like where now it costs money that you have to pay to have a shop open to put anything new in, unless you're grandfathered in and you kept your stuff. Well, the problem was I tried to introduce some new products and updated my store and didn't realize now I got to pay for it if I want to keep the storefront open. So
God damn it, Streamlabs!
I know,
all this
I can't
value.
even-
What you're charging us on the back end, you sons of a gun! What the hell,
It's-
brother?
Well, I mean, I don't even make. I wasn't even charging any money for the shirts. It was just for people who wanted to have it. You know, like I wasn't making a dime off of any shirts I sold. They paid for whatever the cost was for them.
Right.
And I know they're a business and they're looking to make money, and I get that. But the cost of keeping a store open, it's like,
you have to pay to keep it open.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
it's like
what?
like Streamlabs Pro or whatever. It's like $100 a year or some shit like that. I'm
And
like,
What the hell?
no.
notice a trend with I only use Streamlabs because it's the best and because there's nothing better. Right. It's the only one of the only ones that I think is actually really, really, really good. But you'll notice a trend with them where they come out with this new thing and they'll always say it's better and it's cheaper. And then you realize after a little while that it's not actually better and it's not actually cheaper. Anytime somebody comes out and says, hey, we can do the same exact thing that these guys are doing, but are cheaper. It's not the case. All right. There's always a string attached. And I remember as soon as Streamlabs announced that they were going to be doing their store, I watched all these streamers drop Designed by Humans and they moved over and like, oh man, a t-shirt for $18. And then everybody signed up. And then a couple months later, Streamlabs was like, by the way, we're raising the minimum price for t-shirts to like $30. They all skyrocketed. And then they came out with this new pro plan where you could, it's just got to keep an eye on that. There's a reason for that kind of stuff.
I just don't see the value in that when that's not something that's bringing in money to. It's not making me any money. I do it for people who want to like rock like a dancing beer shirt or something like that. Like
Right.
I don't have any. And that was the thing. That was what a goal of mine was. I had all these plans to get some new products. I had some new designs even that I had prepped, but I can't sell it on that store without paying like $100 myself. I'm like, how the fuck do I want to pay $100 just so I can not make money selling goods? You know what I mean?
You would have to sell 100 shirts in order for you to break even on that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I it's cool if you're a big time streamer. I mean, you're more than I'm not a big time streamer, so I can't see myself spending that $100 on that. Even though I probably could bite the bullet and spend $100 and make it available. I could. I easily spend well over $100 a month on craft beer and whiskey and shit. You know what I mean? So it really comes down to what are you willing to pay your money on? I just knowing what it was like before, and then the fact that they kind of flipped the script on us, and then all of a sudden said, "Oh, by the way, the same service we were offering for free now costs $100 a year." I'm like, whoa. Just kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
It's kind of like that one time that Streamlabs bought up a company that owned and managed the Google Chrome extension. And then they just kind of like swapped out the name of it and hoped nobody noticed and started collecting data on a bunch of people. Yeah, that's Vulcan, company that owns Streamlabs. So anyways.
Well, on the pricing. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No,
I know. No, I was just going to say this, the whole pricing structure, just we were talking about earlier, how the shit just keeps going up. And, you know, chat was talking about the Netflix has been going up, Hulu's going up, like everything is just slowly climbing up and you're not really getting any more. It's just like once they get you in, you know, it's like, well, back to what you were saying, how much of this content can you actually consume?
Yep.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it becomes a point where it's like, the reason I switched to Netflix and Hulu and shit was because I didn't want to pay over $100 a month for cable and stuff. Well, with all the stuff that's being added in now, it's going back to what it costs for cable TV.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I'll get off my rant.
No, it's all good.
Eventually you get away from Disney and you get away from all these big, like the HBOs of the world, but then they have a subscription model where you can pay for it online. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the shitty thing about, like, at least Netflix, you get in Hulu, you get, you know, 5 or 10 different studios that are making really good movies. Even some of the older stuff is good. But the problem with like HBO is like, I just want to watch Westworld. Like, that's all I want to watch. Is that HBO? No, that's on Stars.
Yeah. No, it's HBO.
It's HBO. I just want to watch Westworld. Okay. I don't want to spend $15 a month on Westworld. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with like the new Rick and Morty. I don't know if it's on Hulu yet. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be mad because we could have watched it today while eating that delicious breakfast that Casey posted.
Ooh.
But it's like, okay, what's my option? I have to either buy it, right? Buy each episode. And I think each episode's like $5 or $4 on through Amazon. And obviously there's other channels that you can purchase it through. Or I have to find a way to subscribe to Adult Swim. Right. So eventually you get away from the big subscription model just to replace it with a bunch of little tiny ones. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So I am drinking right now. This beer I was not crazy about when I first got it. It's the Sam Adams White Christmas with spice, white ale with spice. And the first bottle wasn't crazy about it. And I usually enjoy kind of all Sam Adams beer. I find like Sam Adams is like the song Closer by the Chainsmokers. You know, it's like, okay, it's there, it's good, it's decent, but everybody loves to hate on it because it's fucking Sam Adams. It's just there. This, it's grown on me a little bit. I didn't think I liked the spice in the beer at first, but it's kind of grown on me.
I had to listen to the song. It's like the
yeah, that's the ultimate frat song right there.
Yeah, I don't know that song. I don't know that.
Sure you don't. It's not number one on your most played iTunes list. It is on mine. Anyways, ever since the Wally Treats and Howie podcast.
What was his name? Yeah, what's the other guy?
Wally Meats and Howie.
Yeah, Wally Meats, and then there was some other guy.
That other dude.
Completely. Yeah.
Conbot, I think.
Yeah. He was Conbot.
Howie was talking about something called mezcal. And it is basically tequila that is made with agave syrup instead of sugar. And he's been raving about it. And so I went to my local liquor store and I said, hey, do you have Mezcali? And he just pointed to a portion of the shelf that just had like all these different bottles. And so I took a picture of it and I sent it to him like, hey, which one of these should I buy? And he's like, get that the one in the green bottle. And he was just saying like, he was like talking about how super fancy it was when you get some dried rosemary and you roast it. So you get the smokiness going on and you can get some like bitters and sours. And I just got the bottle and I poured it into this here lovely shot glass. And I was going to try it here live on stream. I opened the bottle and I got a hot waft of just fermentation. And it smells good. Like it smells like a sweet kind of tequila, but at the same time, I know it's going to burn. So here we go.
Is it you're just sipping it, right? You're not going to just shoot it.
Oh my God.
Is everything okay?
It's actually really mild. Like it smells like tequila. It tastes like it, but it's so mild that I gagged for effect, but it's actually really good.
I used to work for this company, and the CEO had his own tequila thing. Like he had his own distillery. I don't know if it's called a distillery at that point, but I got into tequila pretty deep. He had a hooch bar, yeah. But I got into tequila pretty hard when I was like in my like 22, 23. And I used to love it. Yeah, and in my 23s and my 22s, I don't have like a range that I can put up because it's still just the same range of being early 20s.
Aren't you only 25?
I'm like 25 or 26. I think I turned 26 in a month or in less than a month. It's December. What's the date? November something?
Podcaster doesn't even know his own birthday. December 7th?
Who knows, man? Yeah. After WoW release, time has just gone past me. I haven't streamed in like 3 months. So
Elliot's.
It's
quick. What's your girlfriend's birthday?
Holy fuck. June 15th, I think.
Ruby, can you confirm or deny?
Ooh, a Gemini.
I may have fucked this real hard. Oh, I fucked it.
Oh no!
Wait. It's July. Hold on. It's like end of July and then early June. We have our anniversary right after it or right before it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's around that time. It's early.
It's not July.
Oh, wow. Not even you're off by wow. Not even the right month.
I think
Damn,
I'm
dude.
Yeah.
You better fluff them couch pillows tonight, buddy boy.
Dude, I'm in deep shit now. Honestly, my entire life I've been literally the worst person with two things. The first one is remembering names. Like if you shake hands with me, 2 seconds later I'll be like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, like who is this guy? I completely forgot what your name is. I'll be like, hey, guy,
buddy.
Whoa, buddy, and like give him a shoulder pat. But names and dates, I am completely useless with. Like just complete. Like I can't remember. The only things that I remember date wise are like my birthday, obviously, and I think that's pretty much it. Like I can't remember any date for anything. I'm awful with it.
It's okay,
but
it's all right. You'll have to work a little harder tonight for your love. But
yeah, I'll have time to sleep on the couch to have to remember that. I think I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out by the end of the podcast. It'll come to me.
Good man. All right, real quick before we get into Bishop's topic, what games have we been playing lately? Now we know Bishop almost missed the podcast due to WoW. Any other games that have been tickling your fancy lately?
Hell Let Loose. I haven't played it in a little bit. So I just went last week to SEMA. So it's like this big car convention in Vegas. So I was there with this developer called Eden Games, and they make this mobile game that's on Nintendo Switch, and it's on mobile, and I think it's on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And it's called Gear Club. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm working with this developer. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, because I have a lot of connections in the motorsports world from having worked there. And I went to the show pitching the game to these manufacturers without ever having played the game. But I actually downloaded it on my phone. It's free to play. It's called Gear Club. This is my ad right now. Hashtag ad. But it's actually really fun. It's just like this little mobile racing game, and you turn your phone to drive. And then there's like this element where you can build your cars in the shop. It's amazing. It's actually really, really, really fun. So I played that pretty consistently while I was out of town. And then once I got back, like I've just been kind of sitting with it up. Like whenever I go and take a poop, I just, run a race. And it's actually really, really fun. So, yeah, go download it. Yeah. Maybe I'll make some money. I'll clip this.
Hey.
Someone clip this, and then I can send it to them and be like, hey, listen, I am promoting your product. You have so many more downloads now.
You know, Crocs and Hot Pockets gets a cut of that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
All right. Good.
It's like 0.3%, or what was our contract?
0.300%,
Oh, shit.
which is
Hey,
0.3.
question.
Which
Is
is
this,
still be the same thing, but yeah.
It's still the same. Yeah. Is this is my mic popping? I'm hearing like a little crackly. Is that happening on your end or only on mine?
I just figured that it's Discord's compression that's doing that. I don't think it doesn't sound like your mic is peaking.
Okay, because I can hear it in my ears. If you guys can hear it, it probably is just because I have the gain up a little too high.
Oh, okay. Do you have
guys
any
hear
sort of? I don't think so.
Oh, it's probably the input going from my mixer into the headset, the transmitter, and it's just a little hot.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Good, Jimmy. What you been playing?
I'm glad you asked, Knackers. I've been playing a variety of games. Some that you've played, some that you have not. Some that I'm super excited to talk about, and some that you probably don't give a fuck about. But
That's
let me
not
tell
true.
you what games I'm playing. No, I mean, there's at least one I know you probably don't give a shit about. But The Outer Worlds, which I saw you play and start up today.
Yeah.
Amazing game. I'm going to jump back into it after I finish playing the next game I'm playing, which I just started with it because it came out Friday, which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I've been talking about this game for months on this fucking podcast about how excited I was, and I was concerned. You know, I didn't pre-order it. I guess technically I did pre-order it because I bought it like an hour before it released, you know? But that's because the review embargo lifted. I guess it was last Thursday night. And so I was up and I was just looking at the reviews, and they were all really good, you know, and glowing and saying a lot of the things that I wanted, that I really was hoping the game would be like. And when that happened, I was like, fuck it. I know I there's no point in waiting. I know I got to play this game, because I was waiting to see if the reviews were shitty. I would have still played it, but I wouldn't have wanted to play it maybe on release. I probably would have waited for it to go on sale, you know, and just played it down the road. But the reviews are great. I downloaded it. I started playing it Friday night. I played it again last night. Fantastic game. Love the atmosphere. I personally like the pacing and the action and the way it is. I can understand how some people could be turned off by it. There's some valid points to be made against it. I don't really care for some of the puzzles and stuff that are in the game, although it's not puzzle heavy. But I'm not really a smart man when it comes to puzzles on games, so I get a little frustrated. In fact, I was even when you rated Remax earlier today, and he was at the fucking part that I was stuck at last night for over half an hour, right? And he cleared it in less than like 5 minutes, and I was like, God damn it, you know what I mean? It just made me feel like an idiot. But other than that, I mean, I'm having a ton of fun with the game. It's a gorgeous game. The dialogue is cool. You were talking about droids in The Mandalorian. There's tons of cool droids in the game. In fact, they have like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with how Star Wars lore heavy or whatever, but you guys know the Gronk droids?
Yep.
You know what a Gronk droid is? It looks like a fucking trash can, basically. There's like, it made my heart melt, because like the Gronk droid has always been one of my favorite droids, and they're just like this kind of shitty ass droid that doesn't do much.
Yeah.
But in the first level of that game, man, there's like Gronk droids everywhere, and they're all these different colors, and they're all. It's just, I don't know. It feels like Star Wars, and it's just a really, really cool game. So I'm extremely excited to play that, and then when I finish that, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna finish up my playthrough of Outer Worlds. I think somebody said that I don't know. It'll probably take me at least another 3 or 4 streams to beat this game. I'm guessing.
Regarding Star Wars, I just now realized that the lead actor who's playing your character in Star Wars is one of the dudes from the TV show Shameless. And apparently he's also in Gotham, which I didn't realize. How do you feel about them always putting actors like likeness as the character in the game?
I think it makes sense in this. That part of the reason why I think they do it is for expression, and they're going to motion capture those guys in the studio, and they want to capture somebody that's already used to a wide range of expressions on their face, the type that they want. So, I mean, it makes sense. Personally, it doesn't bother me, because it's not like this guy's like an A-list actor or anything. I mean, he's somebody he is now. But I mean, it definitely gives him a little more notoriety. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean, you want to go with a talented person. There were some complaints in the reviews about the main character in the game, Cal, But I think that his character is awesome. But again, I'm still really early in the game, so I don't know. I'll have to give my final verdict down the road, and obviously I won't spoil anything. But
quick question: is this available on Steam?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Well, maybe not. It might be Origin. I don't know.
Let me check, because I know that Origin and Steam. We were talking about that last podcast. They had a merger not a merger, but I think EA is now allowing people to buy games through Steam. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that popped up when I booted.
But you
Steam.
might still have to launch it in Origins. Like you can buy them on Steam, and with all of these other games with this merger, you have to requires third-party account, EA account, supports linking to Steam account. So yeah, it launches through Origin.
Yeah.
Well,
I think as far as like to answer your question about having actors in games, I don't mind it for like single title stuff. It's a little weird because it gets outdated pretty quickly, right? But it to me, like obviously I understand the fact that they can exactly replicate that person's emotions, but the problem is that and nowadays it's getting a little bit better, but the problem is that it's still a little strange. So if you know of that actor, you'll see them make like a facial like they'll emote with their face, and it looks just off from the real thing, right? So to me, I don't mind personally, but it on the kind of like on the underside, it seems like it's kind of like a easy scapegoat. You know what I mean? Like to create a character that people can relate with instead of having to build one from scratch.
And then what happens when the person that you put in your game turns out to be a huge pedophile?
Exactly. Right. Call of Duty. Exactly. It's a big problem.
you certainly take a risk. But,
yeah.
Going back, Outer Wilds, I just kind of glanced over that. Love that game too. Like I've played it 2 or 3 streams, maybe 2 or 3, but that's a fantastic game in its own right as well. And it gives me a lot of vibes from Fallout. It gives me a lot of vibes from Mass Effect. And even with how intricate you can get with the different types of customization too, like even like a splash of Borderlands in there too. Obviously not the same type of humor or whatever, but and it's got a real Star Warsy feel as well. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited about all the stuff that's got me. And Outer Worlds wasn't even on my radar. I mean, I'm only playing it because it was free with the Game Pass, and I'm fucking loving it. So as soon as I finish this, I'm going back to going back to Outer Worlds after Star Wars, and then I'll be going back for a playthrough with the Mass Effect trilogy, but I'll talk about that down the road. But the only other games I played are Tetris 99. Love that game. And that's like my sitting on the couch game.
Right.
Like I sit there on the couch or on my recliner and play that. Like I'll play for like 15, 20 minutes to play a few rounds. And then the new Jackbox, which I haven't played all the games, which I don't really care because to me, I really just like that new Trivia Murder Party game. It's fucking fun. I love trivia. So
is this Jedi game? Is it kind of like on rails story type of game, or is it kind of open world where you can kind of just screw off and do whatever you want?
Kind of open world, it's not really open world. I mean, you can kind of pick the order of some of the places that you go, but I mean, it's kind of on rails in the sense that it's going to be the same. I mean, it's going to funnel you, but the places you go are pretty expansive. So, I mean, the maps are pretty big. Right. So, I mean, yeah, it kind of feels like there's Paul said in chat, it's like Witcher 3 open world. It's not that big, obviously, but that's what it kind of feels like with the exploration, and it's
okay.
That's cool. That's yeah.
And
so
you can explore the Star Wars. You can live in the Star Wars world for at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just like
cool.
cutscene and then play a map and then cutscene, kind of like the traditional on rails type of.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot more open than say like Force Unleashed or anything like that. You know. I would argue to say it's the best Star Wars game that's come out since Knights of the Old Republic back in 2003. So it's good. It's really good.
When I was playing it today, I was responding to chat, but I was zoned out and I was focused. I was full in on this game. I remember looking at chat. I remember responding to chat. If you were to ask me like, hey, remember that question I asked you while you were playing Outer Worlds? I couldn't tell you. I was not processing any information. I can't remember the last time that I was that intrigued by a game where I was like, I chose to go live, but I don't even give a shit about chat right now. I'm here to play this game. And sometimes that happens when you're live, man. You just get zoned in, and you don't think about how fast chat is moving. You don't think about, the people that may or may not be there. You're not thinking about the lack of rating or hosting that you're getting. You're just like, game. I am game today. And that's all you do. So it was a really, really good time playing Outer Worlds today. I remember when I was waking up, I'm like, I'm going to play Fortnite because I'm still so fucking focused on getting a solo win. And then I sat down in my chair and I said, you know what? I've already played 9 days of Fortnite. I think that's enough to get it out of my system for now. I'll still come back and play a little bit, but I really got to start, getting at these other games. And I originally was going to save Outer Worlds as an off-stream game. And for whatever reason, I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. We're loading up and we're playing it today. And I'm super glad I did, because I had a lovely 4.5 hour chill stream where I was just hanging out with the community and just playing the game and just having a really good time. So I'm super, super glad that I decided to start that game. Shout out to Xbox Game Pass for making that possible. We'll get into that. We'll get into the game subscriptions and stuff like that in a little bit. Jimmy, you have anything else on your plate?
No, just, it'll take me a while to get through those.
Aside from playing Mario World with a certain someone here in another week or so.
Yeah. For those unaware, if you didn't catch our Twitter post, MiddleAgedStream and I are going to be dual streaming Super Mario World on the Nintendo Switch, utilizing the Super NES. Yeah, Super NES online multiplayer. And we're basically on Black Friday evening and then Saturday evening. We're going to see if we can get through the Super Mario World. Are you trying to beat the game, or are you trying to 100% the game?
I'm fairly confident you and I can easily beat the game.
Okay.
Now, can we get all, 92 or 96 levels completed?
Star World?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if we can do that or not.
Okay.
We're going to try. I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to beat the game. We could beat the game just taking a straight shot the first night, but we're going to try and unlock everything as we go.
You think we can do the whole game in one stream?
I think if you were not trying to do 100% everything.
Okay.
Like if you weren't trying to get every single level, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I have been playing Outer Worlds, obviously, streamed that for the first time today. I don't know if I'm going to be continuing it into next week. I feel like it's a good idea to just ride that train. I don't think it is that long of a game. I think Weenie beat it in 20 to 30 hours. So that's a couple weeks of streams, I believe. So I've also been playing Secret Neighbor. So for those who don't know, Secret Neighbor is a multiplayer version of the game Hello Neighbor, where you are a child and you were kidnapped and you're trying to escape this house of the neighbor. But Secret Neighbor, the multiplayer game, is a party of 6. You're all kids, and one person is randomly selected to be the neighbor. And so it is a game of trying to unlock the basement door by finding cards and key cards, but also trying to not get cornered and caught by the neighbor. And the neighbor is a kid. He can turn himself into a neighbor and then back into a kid. And the neighbor has to grab the kids and just like disintegrate them, fucking Thanos their ass. And then the goal is you need to get to the basement. The neighbor needs to kill all the kids, which sounds terrible, but it's a fantastic game. So if you have a chance, pick this game up. Get a couple of your friends, go into some lobbies, and have a good time with it. Weenie, Vans, and I played this game until like 4 a.m. one night, like a weekend or so ago. And then we were playing it a little bit last night as well. It's a really fun game.
Casey. Casey wanted to hop on that. I know that. I think Weenie got it for her. And
okay.
She said it was. Yeah, that game looks pretty cool. It's basically like those other kind of, so like I think I talked about this on the last podcast. I get these like the only thing that really scares me is when something's behind me and I'm about to get it through a doorway and it grabs me. You know, like those dreams where you're running away from something, you're hiding under a bed. So like those Dead by Daylight, and then there's another game, Prop Hunt. I used to love those games, but those little bits of like that fear of like getting caught when you're like that your hair, the neck or the hair on your neck stands up.
Yeah.
scares the shit out of me. That's like the only stuff that spooks me out. But maybe I'll watch you guys play it and maybe I'll hop on that because it'd be fun to get a group going, you know?
Cool.
Bunch of goofballs.
Other games, Battlefield 4, of course, because I'm a Battlefield 4 whore. Been playing a little bit of depth, which there's no more amount of tryhards than there are in the game depth. And then there is Golf with Your Friends, which actually has released 2 new maps recently. There's a space map, and then there's another map, and there's also the pirate map. If you haven't played Golf with Your Friends in a year, there's probably like 6 additional maps that you haven't played yet. Some of them are buggy as fuck. There's a Worms map, like Worms, the game Worms. There's a Worms themed Golf with Your Friends map, and it's fucking awesome. So if you haven't played that recently, got to do that.
Golf with your, I love both. I love Golf with Your Friends, but it gets stale, right? Like,
it does.
Eventually you get in a lobby. Everyone knows how to one shot every single hole. And it's just like, it kind of removes the fun from it.
Until you change the ball to a fucking polygon or a triangle.
That's always fun. It's so fun.
All right, Bishop, what's this one topic that you've been, I know it took us an hour to get there, but.
No problem. So this is, I'm not super versed on this. I just saw, and I kind of dove into it a little bit. I was watching another streamer that was talking about it. So Markiplier. So obviously everyone knows that you can stream on YouTube, you can stream on Facebook. And I'm sure you've heard this topic a little bit, but ultimately what happened is that there's a YouTuber named Markiplier who was doing a stream where he was allowing his fans or his viewers to vote on things that were happening, like voting on whether something would happen or, the alternative by using emotes. So like the, on Twitch, you have like the yay and nay emotes. And when a vote would happen, when he would open it up, he would basically just have the chat spam yay or nay. So a green emote or a red emote. And YouTube noticed that and took it as spam and banned a majority of the not only channels, but accounts, the Google accounts associated with those users that were spamming. And I think it took like 3 or 4 days for them to be able to revert it all. But I guess on the back end of that, a bunch of those users, sent requests into support and they were denied. And a few people had like business accounts and stuff like that that were completely locked out of Google or from their Gmail for those days. So that's kind of what happened. I think that I did an okay job of summarizing it. If I missed anything. So I have a question on the back end, but let's just get your guys' thoughts and if you guys have any thoughts on that.
My only thought is that one time somebody in chat told me I look like Markiplier.
Okay. I think you sound like him. I think you
do
have
too,
a
actually.
voice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's all I have to say.
The one thing that I think about is imagine if you were one of those people that were just trying to get involved in an interactive show and then your account gets banned and then you go to the airport and you realize that your boarding pass was in your email and you're just fucked. Like, you can't just call Google and say, hey, I'm at the airport and I'm trying to get on this flight. Can you like unlock my account for me? No, you are fucked. And that's the craziest thing that I always realize, like once a year, is that the core of my existence online all comes back to a Google account, which has no customer service. And if any of these accounts were to just be locked one day, what do you do?
Yeah, there's part of me too that, and I was reading up Paul's message in chat. I am still paranoid about like online purchasing of stuff, and I always screenshot stuff. Like I will just screenshot and save the photos, so I have stuff like boarding passes from online tickets and that sort of situation. Just because of that very scenario that I fear.
Right.
Like, what if I got locked out of my account and I can't? This way, I just have it, and then when I'll go back through and delete that shit later. But
I'm the youngest guy.
You shouldn't have to do that. Shouldn't have to do that.
I go to the stall to get my boarding pass printed.
Good.
I'm like, what if my phone dies? I don't want to carry my phone, and every has their phone goes to scan it. They never have their brightness up. It takes like 10 fucking minutes for them to fix their shit. Just bring a fucking piece of paper.
Those are the boomers, man. Those are the boomers.
Turn your brightness up. They've got their screen protector and the thing can't scan. That drives me absolutely crazy. But the crazy thing about this subject, just in general, and kind of the topic that I pulled out of it is a lot of these platforms, Twitch isn't necessarily one of them, but a lot of these platforms, Mixer, YouTube, what's the other one? YouTube, Mixer, Facebook, all use separate authentication, right? And Twitch is the one that is, it's free, right? Like you get a ton of trolls because of it, but there's nothing associated with your Twitch account. If you get banned on Twitch, you're not going to get banned somewhere else. And I think it fosters a negative, it creates an environment where trolls can troll. But at the same time, the question that I pulled out of it is like, at what point when you're authenticating with these different logins, should any of those bans overlap, right? So like if I get banned from a channel where I'm just bullshitting and spamming, should that ban my YouTube account, or should it ban my entire Google account, right? Or if I log in and authenticate, like imagine if you're a mom and you were, you use your Facebook to log in and you went to a stream and you were spamming to support because that's what the streamer suggested. And then all of a sudden you're banned and blacklisted off of Facebook.
From
you can't log in anymore. All of your memories are gone. All your photos that you've been posting, all of that's gone. It's just interesting because it's like, at what point is it too much where you're authenticating through these different systems? And obviously it brings this, unspoken risk of being banned on one thing and then it overlaps on all these different accounts. Like if I had my Facebook banned right now, I'm sure there's 500 things that I've authenticated through Facebook.
That's why I never sign up with apps. I always sign up with emails, even though that's still like one point of failure, but I never want my entry into something ruled by somebody else, like another company's app. Paul just brought up a great point in chat, and he said 2 is 1, 1 is none, which is exactly how you should feel about your motherfucking PC backups. I swear to God, if you're watching this podcast and you do not back up your computer to something, I know what you're saying. I know, but I don't really have anything worth saving. You know what's going to happen? 10 years from now, your computer is going to die, and you're going to forget that one niece that you had that passed away when she was 7 in that bad car accident. She drew you a picture that says, "I love you, Jimmy." And because you didn't back up your shit, you lost it. And the picture is gone forever. I'm telling you, the amount of people that say, "I don't have backups, I don't need them." And then their shit dies, and they go, "By the way, I had this one thing that I really need to get." Don't let it be you, because if it's you and I find out about it, I'm going to laugh. Not necessarily at your dead niece, but I'm going to laugh in your general direction, and it's going to be your fault.
Do you want to know how I back things up? Do you want to know?
You don't.
Are you going to have a fucking aneurysm if I tell you this?
With those fucking muscles. Can't talk shit unless you back it up. Am I right, Heather?
Yeah. So all my Twitch stuff, I back up to my Gmail. Like all my my overlays and all that sort of stuff, like Google Drive.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do all my Twitch stuff. Does that? All my work stuff, I have a it's actually sitting in this drawer back here. I have a 2 terabyte little portable hard drive that I back up all my work shit, and I back that up also on the unlimited Google Drive that I have for work. And then all my personal stuff, I don't back up. I mean, I've got some stuff saved on a drive somewhere. I don't know. But I mean, if it breaks, it breaks. I'm not like, I don't know. I just, whatever, man. I've got tons of photos that are stored on my phone that are like iCloud or whatever. That's all stored in the cloud. But I mean, other than that, like, I'm like, I don't know what I need to back up. If shit breaks, the way I see it is, if shit breaks, it breaks. And then it's gone. Whatever. That's just the way I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's fucking pissed.
I'm just gonna commit this to memory.
Slowly,
okay. I see.
Pop out.
Okay.
It's just my own feeling on it. It's not. I'm not saying you shouldn't back your shit up, because obviously I do certain things.
Right.
But like a lot of my personal stuff or whatever, like I don't really give a shit. If it disappears, it fucking disappears. That's just kind of how I feel. I'm like, all right, whatever.
At least you back up your stream stuff. That's the stuff that I like. I have no connection to your wedding photos or like, whatever else you got on your hard drive video format. But to think that there are streamers out there who just like the amount of times I see on Twitter, like I'm a photographer and my 3 terabyte hard drive just died with every photo that I've ever taken. I'm like, fuck is wrong with you? What do you mean? What do you mean you only had them in one place? You can't tell me you just didn't know that it would just die and none of your shit would ever go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Fucking embarrassing.
Have you ever had to go through the process of recovering a drive that takes a shit?
Yes.
Have you guys, Jimmy?
I haven't. I had I had a computer die on me. It was like, I don't know, it was like 6 or 7 years ago. And I took it in to like Geek Squad to see if they could recover the. Well, I mean, I didn't really. It was actually longer than that. It was actually about a decade ago, and they were able to recover the contents of the hard drive.
Yeah.
And put it on an external drive for me, but the computer was fucked. You want to hear the story? What happened?
Yes.
I came home. I was deployed to Iraq. You get 2 weeks of leave, R&R, and so I came back to Texas for my R&R, and I got to the airport. I came back to my sister's house. Got there, she was like, had some champagne for me to like, we're gonna relax, whatever. Had the champagne. I was gonna show all these pictures and shit on my computer.
No.
Fucking took a sip of the champagne, opened the thing, and just accidentally dropped my glass, and it just all over the computer goes yoink.
Oh my god.
I was like, well,
That'll do it.
I guess I'm buying a new laptop.
So, So are you saying that once the computer was gone, you were like, oh shit, there might be some things on here that I need. I should take it to Geek Squad.
I didn't have any way to back that shit up. I was in Iraq. This was way back in 2004.
You get a pass.
So you already know. I get a pass on that one. Ever since, I back shit. I don't back up everything. I don't have a fucking RAID array server of shit that's constantly getting backed up. I don't have that.
You don't need, that's the thing, is you don't need that.
It's basically about every 3 months. I'm like, okay, I'm going to back up all my profiles, all my shit. And that's what I do.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I do. So,
dude, when you were overseas fighting the good American war, I was a freshman in high school.
Oh shit!
Isn't that crazy to think about it that way?
Yeah.
Anyway, Markiplier and how he doesn't back any of his shit up. No, this was a very interesting situation because, of course, a bunch of people use this as a scapegoat to be like, see, this is why you don't switch platforms when other people switch. It's like, okay, that could have happened on any platform, right? But it makes you think like, oh, my YouTube account is my Google account, which is also my contacts, which is also my email, which is also my Google Drive, which I use for backup, which is also my Google Docs, which I use for school. And I think still to this day, there are still accounts that have not been reinstated yet. Like there was a good chunk of them that have, but also a lot that haven't. Which, and this is just my opinion, whenever I see somebody on Twitter or on Twitch that's like, I got banned for no reason. And then a couple days pass, and then the couple screenshots get uploaded, and then a couple Twitch staff start responding. And you realize that it's not so black and white. That the person who was like, I don't know why I got deleted, has said the gay F word like 14 times in the past 3 years. So some of those people that were probably involved in those streams probably had some, we're probably doing something they shouldn't have. And they're just getting lumped in with, all these people that did absolutely nothing wrong. So I always take that with like a grain of salt, right? When I see that kind of thing. Just today, there was, and I don't want to get into it because it'll start a whole conversation, but there was somebody on Twitter that was like, I just got suspended for absolutely no reason. And then responding to a tweet was like, oh, well, here's a screenshot of this TOS violation. And here's another screenshot of this TOS violation. And it was just like all these people were responding. And I'm like, well, see, but of course, like streamers think that, I can just use these social media platforms to rally everyone against the platform and make them look like the devil, when in retrospect, you actually kind of broke some of the rules. And I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I think with this particular thing with Markiplier, it was more so heavy on, like, there's definitely probably people in there that got lumped in that were guilty of things in the past. And if they went and tried to recover their accounts, but I think it was overwhelming, the amount of account. So they sent in requests. And Google sent back a bunch of emails to all these different users saying that if you went and tried to get your account back, it's an actual team of people that look at it, and they made a judgment against your account to have it remain banned based on the content of why you were banned, so they can't do anything further. And I think that was what was frustrating Markiplier most, was the fact that people were like, hey, we got banned for doing this, spamming in his chat, and then they went and tried to rectify the problem, and they still didn't get unbanned. Where if you take me, for instance, if you go to like the Rainbow Six chat, and nowadays you can do this with the chat history. I'm sure if you pull up my chat history, you should do it right now. Here, I'll type in your chat knackers. But if you pull up my chat history and just read through it, I'm pretty sure half the shit that I say is completely fucking stupid. And I'm sure that if you pull up anyone's chat history,
I don't even know how to do it, to be honest.
I think if you're a moderator, you can look at all of my previous history, and then there's a website where you can put in the username, and then it ultimately pulls up all the stuff that they've said in that channel before. But like I've watched Trainwrecks and Asmongold before, because this happens all the time, right? Like someone will be like, "Oh my god, I got banned for no reason." They'll donate $5. Please bring me, I don't know why I got banned. And then he'll literally go and pull it up, and like Asmongold will pull it up in front of like the 24,000 people that are watching him, and you'll just scroll through this list of bullshit that this guy has said over like the past like 3 weeks that he's been watching, and all this dumb shit that he's copy and pasting, all the way across. And it's like, it's funny when people get called out for that reason. I think that with this YouTube thing, obviously it brings up the question of how many things should be authenticated through one thing. Because I wonder, so like a piece of it is like, if I get my Google account banned, then I go and try to log into Facebook that I use my Google account for, and all of a sudden they introduce 3-factor authentication. I can no longer get into that Google account to be able to do that, right? To be able to request that. So it creates like a rippling effect over time of how many things you're getting locked out of because that Google account or Yahoo or whatever your email get, the thing that you're authenticating with, because that gets banned, it could fuck everything.
If anyone here is using Yahoo, I'm more angry than if you're not backing your shit up. I'm just telling you that right now. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting thing that I love watching Markiplier get angry. It's one of my favorite things. Cool. All right, so we kind of have some other topics that were left over from the previous week. It's funny because Jimmy and I didn't bring any topics to the table for the last Free for All episode, and then Bishop brought like so many great topics that had so much meat on the bones, and we didn't even get to half of them. And I know that we're coming up on like the 1.5 hour, or maybe we're at like the 1 hour and 10 minute mark, because there's always like the intro and stuff, but a lot of great stuff. So Bishop, I'm gonna let you choose what you want to talk about first, and you don't have to. I just copy and pasted everything that you said before.
I think meat on the bone is the right way to put that, because eventually you leave the meat on the bone long enough, right? We eat at it, and then it turns into beef jerky, and that's where we're at now.
Dry aged.
We won't dive into it too much because I'm super interested in this, but people leaving Twitch to go to other platforms. Courage JD, right after the podcast that we did, I think it was that the next day on Monday, he's on YouTube now.
Yep.
So it just goes to reflect the idea of other platforms poaching, advertiser friendly streamers and bringing them away from Twitch. Obviously, there's 100 different reasons for that to happen. Another one goes.
Do you consider it poaching?
No, it's just business.
Okay.
I mean, it's just business. I mean, it's not really poaching. They just they're looking for communities. They're looking for people that can build communities and do it in short term. People that can, if they bring over 500, concurrent viewers from their 10,000 that they had previously, or the 5,000. So if 10 or 20% come over, even if 5, it's successful for them. Because at the end of the day, like the thing that with Mixer poaching the top talent, even though it's not poaching, it's just business, but them poaching the top talent, the thing that's interesting is that what they're really doing is they're getting everyone to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like everyone is talking about it. Like on Twitch, like I watched like 15 different podcasts. Everyone was talking about it. So if for that type of money, I mean, if Microsoft and Mixer are able to, to clear $100 million, they can easily, pay a guy 50 million. And then just to get that, if that's their marketing budget, ultimately they're getting more eyeballs on the site than they ever have through drama. Right. At the end of the day.
Jimmy, if you had to switch platforms for whatever reason today, Where would you go?
Mixer.
Okay.
And the main reason is because it's so similar in the UI and functionality of Twitch. Not that I have any plans to go to Mixer or whatever. I'm just saying if I wanted to switch, I'd probably go there just because I feel like that is the kind of the closest to what Twitch is in the sense of the way everything works.
Yep.
And I'm a creature of habit in that sense. I've been streaming and I'm kind of, I don't think I would have to make too many changes on my end to switch to that platform. So, yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier, and for no other reason than hypothetical. I think that I would actually go to YouTube before that I would go to Mixer. The only weird thing with YouTube is when you go to youtube.com, you are expecting pre-recorded content. When you go to twitch.tv, you are expecting live content with the ability to watch pre-recorded content if you narrow down your search, based on user. So I think YouTube has a live gaming landing page, or maybe it's just a live landing page, but who goes to that first? Everybody goes to YouTube first. YouTube gaming. So youtube.com/gaming.
I think that's what it is. Gaming.
Yep.
I think the thing to keep in mind is that Twitch doesn't have endemic viewers. Like they don't have people that are just on Twitch. They have nowhere else to pull from, right? So like if you look at the big streamers, like you look at Shroud, where did he build his audience? On Reddit. If you look at Ninja, where did he build his audience? On Instagram and on YouTube. So to stream on YouTube is a great idea because if you're posting evergreen content, and I'm sure you love that term, Knackers, if you listen to Gary Vee, but evergreen content that's always living. At the end of every single video, you could have a call to action that says, "Hey guys, I'm also live every day, from 3 to 5 on this channel. Just click on the link down below." You're basically directing people to the place that you're actively streaming to continue the conversation. People are already they've already been doing that with YouTube forever. Like that's basically how Twitch gained a lot of its viewership. It's through YouTube. Like a lot of that, like Asmongold built most of his viewership through YouTube. It's Twitch doesn't have a place to pull YouTube or to pull viewers from, and that's the reason a lot of streamers produce this evergreen content is to, when they're not live, to build an audience and then have a call to action at the end and funnel them into the channels when they go live.
You just brought up a great point that I wanted to touch on. And it involves using these other platforms to try and funnel viewers towards your Twitch stream. So one of my favorite people in the mechanical keyboard community, her name is Tiny, aka Tiny Makes Things. And she created a TikTok account about probably a couple months ago, maybe even a couple weeks ago. She has 5 posts currently on her TikTok. All she did was take a video of one of her burger keycaps that she made. And she dubbed the song that "I can put it in a bun and I can put it in a bun" over the video of her just making her keycap. So it's basically some sort of recycled content to where she already had a video of her making the keycap and she just put a simple meme audio over it. The one burger TikTok on her fairly new TikTok account got 4.3 million views, and she gained 50,000 followers on TikTok in one fucking day. And the residual effects of that was, I think she gained 6,000 followers on Twitter, and I didn't see her. You know what? I'm actually curious. Instagram.com Tiny Makes Things. Come on, work.
Am I allowed to go too?
Yeah, absolutely. Hashtag ad. Shout out to Tiny Makes Things. She makes custom keycaps to where she literally builds them out of clay and other things. And if you want the best keycaps in the world, check out Tiny Makes Things. She makes all sort of custom things for keyboards, and she's super cool, super inspiring, awesome person. And so it just goes to show you that, do your thing, Jimbo, that she, on a platform that she was not very known for, she just decided to put out some content. And because of TikTok's algorithms and discoverability at this time, one of her things just blew up and she just got an insane amount of exposure. And you know what she probably did on TikTok? She probably threw a couple of hashtags. and that's about it. And just through the origin of TikTok's algorithm and how it promotes content, it somehow made it to 4.3 million people. And I just like, when I saw that, I was so proud of her. And I was also so impressed at the same time that she was able to knock something like this out. So it just goes to show you that on these other platforms, especially like TikTok, that's something that's really, really new. And I know what you're thinking, Knackers, did you create a TikTok account? Yes, I did, but I haven't posted it anywhere yet. Because I want to do something with it, but I don't know what yet. But it's just something to keep in mind as a streamer, that you are no longer going to be able to grow a Twitch stream in 2019 and 2020 just by live streaming. You are going to have to get onto these other platforms, creating content for these other platforms. And I think it's extremely, extremely important.
Yeah. Twitch is the worst place in the world to grow an audience.
Yes.
It's a terrible place to create an audience. It's a great place to connect with your audience. It's an Instagram page versus Instagram live. If you have no followers on Instagram, there's pretty much no point on going live on Instagram. Like if I go live on Instagram right now, I'm sure I'd get like 2 or 3 people in there, where if I build an audience on Instagram and I go live, going live in its entirety is a way to connect with your fans in real time.
Yep.
So if you're going live without doing any work outside of Twitch to get your name out there, to build an audience from somewhere, like it could be from your high school, you could go on Facebook and build an audience. And every time you go live, hey, we're going to talk about, things in the news or whatever. If you're going live without thinking about those sort of things, or without trying to build an audience anywhere else, it's a complete and total waste of time. And I'm not saying that it can happen through hosting, but it's a super rare and incredibly hard thing to accomplish. And it's back and forth. Like some days you might get 10 hosts and one day you might get 1, right?
Yep.
Or you might not get any at all. I remember when I used to play Fortnite, I would get hosts every now and then, maybe like 5 or 6. And regularly when I stream, it's just the people that I know. Right.
Right.
But yeah, I think producing evergreen content where people can see you any time of the day, and then you have a call to action that says, hey, I'm going live every night at this time. This is when you can come and communicate with me. It's the best way to harvest an audience. I mean, I was talking to Casey about this. I was like, hey, people are following you on Instagram and on Twitter because of your food, like these food pictures that you're doing. And what she does is she makes these amazing things, food and art. So people are finding you because of that, because they share that common interest. That's the first step. Then you push them to your channel to watch you live, to be able to communicate with you real time instead of having to wait for you to respond. Right.
Right.
So they want to get to know you for your personality. I mean, that's the best way to build a Twitch audience, because obviously being discovered is easier when you have viewers, right? Because of the algorithm and the way that Twitch is built, the higher your viewership, the higher you're sitting in a category, the more likely someone's going to be able to find you if they're looking for you. Or if it's another streamer looking to host someone, it's more likely that they're going to find you at the top. And this is just, I mean, I'm not saying anything that's unknown to anyone, right? But that's the best way to do it. If you're spending 8 hours a day, and I talked to, like when I first started streaming, I talked to a lot of streamers that, were partners that were doing it for a long time. Their viewership was dwindling. And they're like, I'm spending 8 to 10 hours a day and my viewership's going down. Like, how can I, what's going on? And I'm like, listen, you're spending too much time streaming.
Yeah.
Streaming is the end goal. You need to build your audience elsewhere. Find things that you're passionate about, post about them on Instagram, find people that share common interests, and then drag them into your channel whenever, you're giving them value, and then their payback is by coming into your channel to watch you, right? It's just the way that the Twitch has always been like this. It's never like, it's not a new thing. Building in 2019 versus 2015, it's always been the same. The big streamers build their audiences elsewhere and then pull them to this platform. That's
Right.
why when Asmongold goes offline, only 10% of his audience stays on Twitch. The rest of it leaves.
Really?
And you saw there was a Stream Hatchet, which is another company that I've been working with. This company, Stream Hatchet, put out some analytics about Shroud and Ninja when they left the platform and where those audiences went. And I would have thought that like from Ninja's audience, his core audience, they would have gone to someone like Tfue. And I think I can pull up the analytics.
Dude,
I think I tweeted about it. It was only 5%. It was only 5%.
StreamHatch has been around for a really long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I used to go to this website for something. I don't remember what it was. And I have not heard the term stream hatchet in so long.
Really?
And I can't believe that they're still around. That's crazy. Subscribing.
They're doing like stream analytics and stuff along those lines. I'm trying to find that specific post that I made that was from Stream Hatchet, but I'm pretty sure it was 5% of Ninja's audience went to Tifu's, and I was expecting it to be like 20-30%, something crazy like that. But a majority of those viewers of Ninja and of Shroud didn't go to other big streamers.
Interesting.
It was overwhelming, and it completely blew my mind. I need to find those exact statistics.
I'll have to ask my brother what we used to use that for, because I remember they did one thing, and then they either changed their business model or they made it a paid thing, whatever they were offering, and I think it caused us to jump to something else that was free at the time. So I'll have to ask. But yeah, very, very interesting. Really makes you think about things, and what we think is the norm is, the things that we perceive as normal as a viewer,
right,
and what actually ends up being way, way, way different on the other side of the spectrum.
Right. Well, and there's like this ideology that you hear from other streamers while all these people were leaving, where it's like, oh, well, hey, they're gone. There's less competition here. Right. And I have the analytic up now. That's completely false, because only 6% of Ninja's viewership went and watched Tfue, like went and watched their channel that they shared. Tim the Tapman, it was 5.1%. Nick Merckx 4.9%. Dr. Lupo 4.2%. And when Shroud left, 5.5 went to Summit 1G, 5% went to Dr. Disrespect. So it's interesting seeing those statistics, because it paints a completely separate picture from what people are suspecting is happening when a big streamer leaves. Those viewers were being brought over from other platforms, so they're most likely going back to YouTube to watch channels there until they find someone that's like, he puts up a Fortnite video and he's like, hey, come and watch me on Twitch, and then they migrate back. So
I would have expected the shared audience between Summit and Shroud to be much larger than 5%.
Yeah, I don't know with this analytic. I'll have to dive into it more. This is just off the top. It's where the viewers went, tracking the behavior of the core audiences on Twitch. I would say that I would expect that as well. I would think that Shroud and Summit would have, right, because you can see that in your analytics, like how many channels you share viewers with. But it's very interesting that Tim the Tapman and Shroud only share 2.3%, or when they left, 2.3% of that channel's viewership went to Tim.
That doesn't surprise me, because Shroud and Tim are polar opposites of personalities. People who watch Shroud probably aren't watching Tim for the same reason. I think Tim's a pretty good gamer, but I think more people watch him for his personality and his outbursts and his likeness, rather than his gaming skills. But he's still pretty good. I mean, in Overwatch, he got pretty fucking good at Overwatch.
Yeah.
Which I think ties great into one of your other points. What are some things outside of streaming you do that you think are directly, indirectly beneficial to your stream? I can go and say that MiddleAgedStream dealing with children all day probably is great training for being live on Twitch.
It's one of the reasons that I ban anyone who mentions or even makes the correlation that they're under 18 in my channel, because I would deal with that during the day. I don't need to be doing that when I'm streaming.
I feel like I watch your channel a good bit. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you have a problem with trolls. I think you have such a great fucking chat experience. I don't really see them that often.
It's rare. It does happen, but it is rare. Yeah.
Muted.
I'm the only one.
It has happened a few times, because there are some kids at the school. Most of the kids who know that I stream, like they've come up to talk to me personally at school about it. And I just tell them, hey, I appreciate your interest, but I'm a teacher and coach here, or I'm your teacher, or in some cases, I'm your coach. I'm not going to talk to you about stuff that I do in my free time here at school. If you want to catch me outside of school, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. Said, but if I was streaming, I will also tell you that my channel would be a mature audience's channel, and you're not 18. So I'll leave it at that. But that's been pretty much how I handle it, and they're usually cool with that. Like honestly, the ones that I know trolled me a couple times, and I'm not going to get into the whole story, but they're just they're teenagers. Teenagers do stupid shit,
right?
So I can't get too mad. I was I'm glad it happened when it did because the first time it happened was like 2 years ago, because it kind of helped me reevaluate myself and the content that I was putting out. It also helped me reevaluate. Not that I ever get too hammered on stream or anything like that, but there's been times where I've had more than I probably should have, and still been streaming way back when. So it helped me reevaluate, like even my consumption and that sort of stuff. So in a way, it was good. It was good because it helped me kind of reevaluate my own things that I was doing on stream and saying on stream. Not that anything was like super bad, but all it takes is one out of context clip or soundbite to make you sound way worse than you really are. So
do you ever fall into that, Knackers, with your real life work, like being a streamer and sucking that ass?
No, not when I worked at a school. I was super terrified that somebody was going to find my stream. I never even alluded to the fact that I was like a gamer at my old job, but in my new job, actually, a lot of my coworkers actually know that I stream. And what I did was, and this is kind of how I feel about just employment in general. If you prove to your employers that you do good work and that you're a good person and that you have like good character, the things that you do outside of work, as long as they're not illegal, they will go, okay, yeah, that really doesn't bug me. Unless you are like a client-facing employee where your personal reputation reflects that of, like, if I was the owner of the company and I was on Twitch talking about sucking people's ass and getting plastered all the time and just like saying stupid shit, probably not the greatest. But I'm just a tech at a tech company, and
they're expecting you to suck some ass, right?
Exactly. I mean, they don't hire me because I'm bald. I don't think any of my any of the CEOs of the company or my managers have seen my content. But when I tell them like asshole jokes, in passing, they know my humor. But at the same time, they know that I'm not going to project that inappropriateness on their customers. They know that but you have to prove that to them, right? Like there's a certain amount of time you have to spend with an employer and for them to go, you know what? Yeah, I trust that this person is going to represent my company. And, if a client called up and was like, I was on Twitch one day and I found Mr. Nick talking about penises. Like, is my employer going to go, oh shit. One of our techs talks about dicks online. Like, okay, what if we put a spotlight on what you do in your personal life, Mr. Client? What would we find?
That same scenario happened to me.
Right.
Like,
really?
Oh. Yeah. Like where it got to my head coach at the high school I work at. From like that, there was this clip going around that they were, sharing with some of the football players or whatever else that I was streaming, and cursing, dance, nothing serious, nothing super bad or super inappropriate, but it was, it was totally different than my persona at work, and so I had to take that moment to explain to him what the hell Twitch was, and and he took it in stride. He was real cool about it, but then I had to go talk to the principal as well. So that was a fun conversation to have, but she was real cool too. She was just like, look, just make sure you're not doing anything, inappropriate. And, and I made it clear that I don't identify or wear anything that identifies me, that associates me with the school or whatever. And, I mean, it was fine, but it was definitely not a conversation I was planning on ever having to have.
Right. And for you, definitely different because you are supposed to be seen as like a role model for the kids. And you have to deal with parents. I do not have to deal with parents. Not anymore, at least.
You didn't want to be seen as some scumbag streamer, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a good thing I didn't see you playing that Super Mario game.
And here's the thing. Now that parents know that their kid can possibly put them in a house that is 5 times the size of a house they were ever able to pay for, they kind of let it slide. They're like, oh, you're a streamer. So my kid can learn to be more like Ninja from you, can he? Oh, do you take after school classes? So I think the what streaming has changed a little bit. But yeah, no, I honestly, I don't worry about it at all. I think the only thing that could be seen as inappropriate is how much of my humor involves like sexual nature. Right. Yeah. But I'm not here talking about drugs and performing illegal acts. You know, I'm just making like inappropriate sexual jokes. Right. I'm not doing anything illegal. So nothing bugs me at all. If my boss were to see I'm 100% confident that if my boss saw my Twitch, I wouldn't have to explain myself. I just be like, that's me. Do I do my job? Do you think what I do online is reflecting bad against you and your company? Cool. Then get rid of me. Otherwise, let me keep doing my job.
Suck my ass.
Suck my ass, dude.
Well, I feel like I'm doing a good job at my own job by virtue of the fact that I'm not getting trolled a lot and I'm not getting kids, they respect me enough at work to not try and, fuck with me about it. So I feel like that in itself is because I know for a fact there's a bunch of kids that do know that I do it, but they don't fuck with me. So that right
cool
there
teacher.
tells me that it's just like, okay, and I'm not trying to be I'm just being myself. But at the same time, because you want the kids to like you, but at the same time, you're trying to teach and you're trying to set a good example. And even though I can, just like you knackers, dirty jokes and whatever on stream or this or that, you present yourself in a way that's you're never antagonizing anyone when you're doing those things. You're making light of situations. You're making funny jokes about the content that you have on there, and it's represented in your chat. I think if you're doing that and you can show that, if it ever came to where you would have to show an employer that you don't have anything to worry about. And that's basically where my head's at now too, where I'm like, I really don't have anything to worry about because I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm if it ever came to it and something were to, if my boss tried to tell me I couldn't do it, I mean, I'd be getting a fucking lawyer. I'll tell you that right now.
That was going to be my next question. Is if your employer said you have to stop streaming on Twitch to continue to have a job here, if lawyer wasn't an option, if it was either stop streaming, keep your job, or lose your job, keep streaming, what would you do?
Oh, I get a lawyer. I get a lawyer.
I mean, hey, it's my second job. If you guys want to pick up that income that I'm making,
there would be some serious. They would have to be able to make legally prove that it was something in my contract that I was violating by streaming, and I don't think that they could do that with. I think I'd be able to make a good amount of money if I were to sue the school district for that. So I kind of there's part of me, I don't hope that they do that ever. I'm just saying if they did, I have the resources to where I could turn that into a lawsuit, and I think I'd fucking win. And that would be. Can you imagine the headlines that would make?
Oh my god!
If that happened, you know what I mean? If something like that happened,
and you also
and they know that
in the winnings of that court case, you say, "I want this amount of. I want a cow." A month of like, not only do I want 200 grand a day from you, I also want you to guarantee that you are going to pay for somebody at my house to make me fresh ribeye and pulled pork. I want the freshest smoked meats at all times.
I wonder if anyone's ever requested something crazy like that. Like, I want to have a personal chef here. Like,
dude, if
I think it would all depend on the individual in the situation. But
right.
I know myself, and I know the content that I put out, and so if I was ever attacked that way, I would be able to prove without a reasonable doubt that it would be a violation of my own First Amendment rights, and that would cost the school district a ton of money. So for making defamation of character, you can go. The list goes on. That would make bank. They wouldn't do that, not at all.
See, if I went to your school, right, and I like the way that you were saying that you dealt with that, where you were saying, hey, this is school hours, this isn't gaming hours. If you catch me outside, how about that? I'll talk to you about it. But I think that the other thing is the kids don't fuck with you because they relate with you on the fact that you play games. Like, how many other teachers are there that can relate to students in the way, of gaming or something that they're interested in outside of gaming? I think that the environment has changed a little bit. But when I was in school, and WoW is a perfect example. World of Warcraft is a perfect example because there are closeted World of Warcraft players. Like I used to know kids that were on the football team that I'd play WoW with during the week. And then as soon as they got at school, if I went up to him and was like, yo, I just fucking downed Nixia last night, dude. I just got my tier 2 gear. And he's like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to, like, people don't need to know
Really?
that I played WoW.
What are you talking about, nerd?
What are you talking about, bro? Like, I don't play WoW. It used to be like that. And I had a buddy of mine named Joey, and he used to play WoW with me every night. Then we go to school and it was like he didn't know me because they were afraid of other people noticing that they played games. But I'm sure it's obviously a little bit different today.
Right. Oh, definitely, it's different.
So, but it used to be like this. Like Call of Duty was one thing. Like everyone's like, "Yo, are you guys getting on?" Like everyone's trying to put parties together and stuff like that. But shit, like for World of Warcraft and these other like RPG games, people were so under the covers about it. Like it was literally the best way to explain it is that they were closeted WoW players. And like to this day, I even like covered the fact that I played WoW, or that, and some kids covered the fact like when they were in middle school, they played RuneScape. But then once they got into high school, they were like, oh no, I'm into girls in football now. And then they'd get home and play WoW on Friday night or play RuneScape. And, I don't know. It's interesting. Like if I was one of those kids and I realized that my teacher played WoW too, I'd be like, oh shit. Like I got you, dude. Like calm down. Like I'm not going to say anything, but I know that you and I speak the same language. And I think that would be, I'd be super stoked. I'm kind of mad my teachers didn't raid with me. I don't
play games with any students. I don't advertise to them that I do or whatever. I mean, some of the kids know I tell them that I enjoy playing video games, and I know that's a stigma too for like a coach to say too, because like the coaches were supposed to be like the macho, every you should always be outside and whatever. But it's just like anything else in life, moderation. I don't see any difference as somebody who decides they want to sit down and play games for a few hours as to somebody that wants to. What if you want to watch a fucking football game? That's like 3+ hours. You know what I mean? So I don't see the difference in that. And I think that the stigma there's still a stigma, but it's certainly less nowadays than it ever has been before. And I've even taken some of that stigma away, at least with some of my coworkers too, because and I'll talk to them about playing games. And there's a few real close coworkers of mine that know that that I stream and I play video games, and they've kind of even see things a little bit in a different light now, because they're like, oh, well, shit, Jimmy's actually a good guy and he's doing this. So I think sometimes it just takes a certain type of individual to maybe show them that how they're stereotyping all of it isn't necessarily the truth. It's
like,
breaking
the
down
football
those
coach plays
stereotypes.
video games. This is crazy.
Well, the world is fucking coming to an end. Oh, this guy happens to be a pretty good coach. Well, that's weird. He
plays video games on his off time. How is that even possible?
Yeah, what's going on? So
how could you be good at sports if you play video games, you freaking nerd?
you nerd. So bottom line, the stigma is slowly disappearing, and that's good for everyone.
I was sitting next to this lady on a plane once. And this is probably like 2 years ago.
Was her mouth full?
And, huh? Oh, I missed that. Sorry, I missed that. But I was sitting next to this lady on a plane once, and we got to talking. And she's like, so what do you do? And I was like, oh, I work in the gaming industry. At the time, I was working for this racing sim company. And she's like, oh, my kids play Fortnite. And I was like, oh, I play Fortnite. So she gave me her card, and she's like, well, let's exchange details because you stream Fortnite. That's so cool, whatever. And so her kids got in touch with me, and they're like, hey, let's play, blah, blah, blah. And they're like these little gaffers that were like 10 years old. But it was such a weird kind of exchange, because she was interested in what I did because her kids were interested in it. And then I played Fortnite with her kids, and they were like way better than me. I was like,
oh shit.
These guys are like 6 years old, just cranking 90s and just gunning me down.
90s?
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting on a plane. I'm such a boomer now that I'm like sitting on a plane talking about how I play Fortnite, and then I get on with these kids and they're just like 10 times better than me. So I was like, it was interesting because I've never had an exchange like that. where someone's interest, obviously like parents are interested in what their kids are, but it's such like a bizarre world for them that they're like, oh my God, my kids are all into playing Fortnite and stuff. And we saw the headlines about Ninja. Like it's very strange. And that's why I figured that like the world is a little bit of a different place. Cause when I was a kid, if they found out that you played WoW, they were like, what a fucking nerd. Like what a loser. You played video games with other people. You hidden fucking loser, like get some friends. It's like, dude, I play with 39 other people every Tuesday night. You know what I mean? Like we talk in Discord. It's just an interesting, like, I think people just fear the unknown, but at the same time with WoW, it's one of those things where people can literally live in the game. So you get the stigma that you're just a sweaty, nerd that sits at home and does nothing but play WoW.
Yeah.
In reality, I'm that person. Like that's what I look like. Like I'm like the example of what a WoW player actually looks like.
Yeah, but you're the best looking WoW player that I've ever known. Okay.
Really?
I don't think you definitely got to be up there.
Kami Surge is also a very handsome gentleman. You guys definitely competing.
The average person that plays video. I mean, there's so many people that play video games. Is it like? Do you really think that everyone's just this like fat, sweaty behemoth that never gets off the couch? I mean, there certainly can't be that many. I mean, yeah, are there people like that out there? Absolutely. But the reality is most people that play video games are just regular people like everybody else. It's just like a thing that a lot of people do. So, I mean,
like if you saw Guy Beam, aka Dr. Disrespect, out on the streets, 6'7", mustache, slick back gray hair, fucking built like a tree, you would not think that guy sits and plays video games all. You just fucking wouldn't. But yeah, there's dashing men out there that just look great doing it.
I remember I used to play basketball at this gym I went to.
You did not.
Lifetime Fitness. I used to play basketball. I love basketball. It's my favorite sport. I used to play soccer all the way.
My name's Elliot. I play basketball.
6'9" center, 380 pounds. But I used to play basketball, and when we'd like if someone would dunk on someone else or some crazy shit would happen, like if I crossed someone up and they like fell over, I'd be like, "Oh, that's BMing," and I would say it out loud to see who else knew what BMing was. You know what I mean? Because that's a gamer term, right? So I would like use gamer terms to see like who else clued into it, and it was funny because it's still that same kind of WoW ideology where like people were closeted in high school about playing WoW, and it's like, dude, no, you can share common interests. I think the negative thing is when someone is so focused on one certain aspect of their life, like playing games, where they're only focused, the only thing that they want to talk about is playing WoW or playing RuneScape or Call of Duty, that people on the outside are like, I can't relate to this person. They're fucking weird because they keep talking about it, some dragon bullshit, skinning and fucking selling shit on an auction house. Like, what the fuck are they talking about? But
well, is there any other topics that you want to get into from your list before we moved on?
I think so. The only other thing was that and I think we touched on this. So just to highlight it really quickly, the fuck, I'm gonna forget his name, and I'm an idiot for doing this. But the owner of the Mavericks, what's his name? I completely forgot.
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban said that streaming is a terrible business to be in because all of this stuff with popping up about Shroud and Ninja leaving, he clued into it because he's always had an interest in esports, but he said that esports and this streaming thing are a terrible business to be in. And Dr. Lupo and a few other people popped up and they're like, not if you're passionate about it, but it's in reality, it is a shitty business to be in, right? Like the hours, if you're not absolutely in love with it, if it's not a hobby that you're doing anyways, like for me, I love playing games. Like you could probably, like if I had nothing else to do, I would just sit and play games all day long. Like that's the thing I would do. So streaming makes sense for me because it's just a layer on top of me playing games. Like I used to actively sit and just watch Netflix. So then there was something else while I was sitting and playing games. So Mark said that it was a bad business to be in, and a bunch of streamers got all pissed off because he attacked their heartstrings. But in reality, we were kind of talking about this earlier. It is a shitty business to be in because it's the payoff hour per hour is terrible. So if you're not using streaming, right, as a means to communicate with an audience that you already have, you're pretty much wasting your time, right? Or if you're not building your audience actively outside and doing something else, streaming for 8 hours a day is not a good business to be in. And I don't know. I definitely agree with that. And we talked about it, when we were talking about, feeding your channel from other sources. Like if you're doing TikTok, if you're doing Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, it doesn't matter what those platforms are. You don't have to do all of them. But if you do some of them well, like if you do Instagram really well, if you're a beautiful person, post selfies, gain an audience through your selfies. People share that. If you're a funny person, make memes. Like there's that guy that his name's Lance something, and he's a streamer that basically makes streamer relative videos that are these memes that people laugh at, like mimicking someone in their in your chat room. Another good buddy of mine, American Dad, does the same thing where he just makes these these Instagram and Twitter videos where he dresses up as a girl streamer, and then he has like these different personas that he plays where people come in, or he comes in and he basically voices or words out these like bullshit comments that people always say, like, hey, show your feet or some shit like that. And it's super funny, but it drives traffic back to his stream. I remember ADL and I used to play Fortnite back in the day, and he would get like 20, 30, 40 viewers. And nowadays he's got like 200, right? On the average, like up between 100 and 200. And it's because he's doing something elsewhere. So that was the only other thing, was this thing about Mark Cuban saying streaming was a bad business to be in. But in reality, it's a terrible business to be in. But if you're passionate about it, don't not do it. Like whenever I'm on this podcast, I'm always like shitting on streaming, like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if you genuinely enjoy it. Like for me, I haven't played or I haven't streamed in 3 months because I've been playing World of Warcraft Classic, and it's because I would rather I would rather spend the time in the game, and like this is something that I genuinely enjoy, and not tarnish it by streaming. Right? It's something. Eventually, I'll come back once I get bored of WoW and stream something to have to continue to build that audience. But for me, I stream because I genuinely enjoy it. If I don't want to stream, like if I'm sitting down and I'm looking at the go live button, I'm not going to convince myself, right? It's completely pointless for me, right? There's things that I could spend 2 hours making an After Effects thing and it make 5 times the money that I would ever make for streaming for like 10 months. It's not in general, it's just not a great hour per hour thing to do. So if you look at it that way, it's obviously bad. But that was it. I just had that little topic in there. There's a few people that are like, oh, streaming is a great business. But I think if you look at it in the means of numbers,
my only comment on that is what his main quote is: there is no business where you should look at the top 0.01% and base your potential success off of it. Is that not the NBA? The top.
So I agree with you. And I was looking at that too. So not focusing on the top percentage of any market. Everyone does that. Like if you're going to play poker, if I'm going to start becoming a professional poker player, I'm going to look at who the top netting people are. If I'm going to become a professional golfer, that's just human nature. Is that a smart thing to do? I don't think so. Like, should I look at golf and be like, holy fuck, Tiger Woods is making $60 million a year being a golfer. I should become a golfer. Or should I look at Ninja and be like, oh my God, this guy's making 500 grand a month. I'm going to become a streamer. I think that ideology is stupid, but it's just human nature. People are just going to they're going to do that no matter what it is. If Jimmy, it's like if Jimmy's like, holy fuck, there's a guy that's making $10-20 million a year being a coach on a football team. I can do that too. There's so much. It's just like the point from where you are now to getting to that point is so extreme. And looking at any market like that is a stupid idea. But you shouldn't look at something and that is a market where you have like a low ceiling. At the same time, this is kind of like the counterpoint. You shouldn't look at a low ceiling where no one's doing well and say that you can't do well, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can't take streaming when 10 years ago no one was making any money streaming, and nowadays people are making crazy money, right? So there is a potential to do that in a certain category, but you shouldn't base it off of that top percent and say, hey, if I stream 12 hours a day, I can become a multimillionaire or even make $10, $15, $20,000. The top 1% is a lot lower than a lot of people think. Like even making $5,000 a month or $2,000 a month, something that is sustainable, is incredibly difficult to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. But I think the middle ground that is forgotten by people like Mark Cuban, who are fucking billionaires, is sure, maybe you're not going to make it to the 0.01%, but what about working a full-time job and then pursuing a hobby that you're passionate about and having an extra 10, 20 grand a year to yourself?
100%. I think, I think that, and I think that's where you and I are in parallel, because I would rather do 100 other things to make money, right? There's a billion other ways, or let's say that there's 10 good ways for me to actually make good money to where I'm happy and sustainable, where I don't have to look at streaming. And I always preach this on this podcast. Don't look at streaming as a way to make money and as a potential full-time job. Start doing it, right? If you start making 10% of your money that you would normally make in a month while streaming, then cut back your time that you're spending doing that full-time job by 10%. And then continue to shovel that money into streaming and start giving yourself more and more time if that's how you want to do it as a business. But to do it in just because there's so many people that I know from my community, because being someone that is passionate about this, I attract other people that want to do this as a full-time job. And there's so many people that are like, hey, I'm going to quit my job and do this. And I might stop going to school. It's like, that's the stupidest fucking idea you could ever have.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to fail by doing that because you're not going to love it. You're going to do it. And then 6 months in, you're going to have $600 in your bank account and wondering what the fuck happened. And then you start your stream and you have 10 people there and then you're begging them to subscribe or donate. And you're trying to find all these incentives in order to make more money off of your audience. And the best way to do it is by providing value up front and then eventually wean into it if you can start making enough money and then free yourself. No one has ever made it by cutting cold turkey off of their jobs and going in another direction. It's very, very rare.
Yep.
So it's a dumb idea to even consider that.
Yeah. I would never consider streaming full time. And for me, it's always been a hobby. It always will be a hobby because it's not something that you could rely on for income. The income is a nice bonus. You know, for me, Twitch streaming, the income has helped pay for new video games. It's helped pay for new equipment. It's helped, basically it's for the amount of money I spent on video games and new tech, the streaming has basically kind of cut that cost. It's basically,
right.
I'm not losing money on the hobby anymore. I'm not really making any money because pretty much anything I get, I'm putting back into it. I'm subbing to other streamers. I'm doing other things where the income that I make is going really right back into the hobby. But it's one of the things I love doing. And like you were saying, video games, for me, I was already playing. And by streaming, I get to share it with a bunch of awesome people around the world. And I get to learn about things, I knew nothing about video encoding, fucking audio, all this other. I didn't know anything before, so it's been a eye opener for me to learn all these things. And it's been fun. I mean, so what I would never consider doing it full time. I can't imagine how stressful that would be to try and make a living off a stream, especially. I mean, the only way you could possibly do that is if you were exceptionally skilled at something and just were like one of the top players in the world at a game. Maybe you could consider that. But if you're not and you just think you're going to go in and, everyone's going to just come to my stream, man, you're going to have another thing coming. You better make sure you don't quit your job, man. Because it's not something that you can do and sustain. It's just, to
put that in perspective, 1,000 subs a month, 1,000 tier 1 subs is $2,500 before tax. So you're looking at about $1,600 to $1,700 maybe. And obviously there's the other things like bits and dollar donations and stuff like that. But if you think about that, like to where we are at in our streaming careers compared to 1,000 subs a month, and that's what, if you're making $1,700 a month, that is $30K a year gross. Yeah. That's nothing. That's fucking nothing. So you really got to like take that in consideration.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying, going back to Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary's always says, build your personal brand. Streaming's just a way for you to communicate. And I said this earlier, it's just a way to communicate with your audience. Use it as such. You can building an audience on Twitch is a bad idea. It's possible, but it takes an incredibly long time. And all three of us have gone through it. Unless you have another channel of connections or whatever it is to start growing that audience, to get those first 5-10 people in the door is incredibly difficult.
Yes.
It is so hard. For some people, it takes one day. For some people, it takes 10 months. For some people, they still haven't reached that point. It takes a long time to be able to, and people get exhausted. Like, it takes a long time to get to that point. I'm not saying, and just like I said, I'm always bitching and complaining about streaming, and not necessarily in a super negative way, but I'm always, in a way, I'm deterring people from streaming in a way. But it's the ideology that streaming should become your full-time job. It's such a bad way to start out. If it's something that you're passionate about, there's so much you can learn. Like what Jimmy said, Jimmy could now go, and same thing with you knackers. You could now put on your resume that you've worked on a podcast, you know how to work, the most basic audio equipment up until like a medium ground using mixers. You guys know how to set that equipment up. You know how to hook it up to a computer. You know how to record. You know how to capture gameplay. You're able to capture desktop. There's so many companies that are eventually going to need those talents. So you guys are building trade skills, right? Like if I rewind 10 years when I first started using After Effects, I had no fucking clue what I was doing, but I was slowly and surely figuring out different things based on what I was passionate about. If I was like, hey, I have a World of Warcraft guild, I'm going to create a logo for them. How do I do that? Or an icon. How do I do that? And I found ways through the gaming to influence me and to motivate me to do other things. And streaming's the exact same thing. Streaming gameplay and streaming video games. You're already passionate about video games. You're learning a trade skill, right? Learning how to do simple broadcast. Like 5 years ago, who would have known different codecs? Like what codecs you can use? What was a bit rate? No one knew what that was.
Yep.
Where I think that there's a big positive that can come out of streaming, but the thought process to think that from a base level it can eventually become your full-time job is a stupid thing to think, unless you're thinking that you can slowly move into that and you're willing to accept the fact that it might not ever happen. Like for myself, I have every single tool in the book to do everything on the production side of streaming, right? And I've had those talents in the past, which helped accelerate me to build an audience because I knew a lot about those things and a lot of people that also wanted to stream, which is a very complicated part of social media. There's no other social media that's as hard as streaming. So I was able to build an audience that way, and I've learned a lot on the technical side. But I've accepted myself that I may never become a big streamer. It's a possibility, but to think in the way that I'm directly going and competing against those people in hopes to build an audience, I'm just going to exhaust myself. And I've done it. I've done it when I was playing Fortnite. Like I had the talents and from the technical side to the gameplay ability to do something with that. But it was extremely exhausting thinking that I had to compete with these other people based on streaming alone. And I was just draining tons of time into it and exhausting myself. And now I have a much healthier relationship with streaming. I stream because I want to, when I want to. I just start it up. People will show up because they realize that I'm not just doing it for the hours or for the time or for the money. People realize that I'm, when I go live, it's because I'm ready and I want to,
It's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yes,
All right, last quick topic before we get into the Q&A. The Q&A is pretty short. Monthly subscriptions. So I sent out a tweet about this like a week or two ago. Like, hey, if you're ever wondering where all of your money goes every single month, audit your bank statement and look at all of the tiny little subscriptions that you have and add them up and see how much of your month that actually takes up. And personal wise, it's disgusting. Just streaming related. I did a quick add up of all of the things that it takes for me to do what I need to do on Twitch. And more or less, you can kind of argue that some of these are needs and some of these are wants. But I want to be totally transparent with this because I think it's super important. So between having a Google account that is Google Apps so that you can have your own domain within Google, a better TTV subscription for custom emotes, a TeamSpeak server, a subscription to Amazon Music to be able to play music through the Amazon Echo, the Zoom. Oh, shut up, Echo. The Zoom app in order for us to do this video conferencing for the podcast. Discord Nitro, again, not a need, but it definitely makes a lot of things easier when you're trying to create content. Web hosting for the website, the Adobe Creative Suite, and 3 Twitch subs. So that's me only subscribing to 3 other streamers. $120 a month.
Holy fuck. What about Twitch Prime?
That is probably, so 120 divided by 12.
10 a month.
10 a month, another 10 on top of that. And there's probably, I mean, like, what am I paying, for the bank account that is attached to all this stuff? Like, what other fees am I finding there?
You're increased, if you pay a tax person to take care of all of your Twitch taxes,
which I do.
That's like a separate piece, right?
Yep.
And then you also have on top of that, if you're paying for a better package with your ISP to stream, which I'm sure every one of us is doing.
Yeah, maybe you need a bump on your cellular plan for data because you're doing a lot of content creation out and about.
Right.
So
so you're at $150, $160 a month?
About
around that.
Yeah.
So let's say it's $150 a month. All of those things are positive, right? You don't need all of those things. Like you don't need Twitch Prime. You don't need the Discord Nitro. There's a lot of things in there that you could dwindle out. But by streaming, you can add all those things. Like if I'd stream 4 or 5 hours a day or 2 hours a day or whatever it is, or 2 hours every 3 to 5 days, whatever it is, right? Whatever the number is. If I can pay for a better internet plan based on the time that I'm spending streaming because I'm already playing games, that's going to just increase the quality of everything that else that I'm doing on the internet. Right. So streaming is a great thing to help you pay for other things. If you're normally taking that out of your income from your full-time job, but it's crazy. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say that's basically where a lot of my stream income goes. It goes toward other subscription, all my entertainment stuff like internet, all my like Hulu, Netflix, like all that sort of shit. I basically pull everything out of like my streaming money is basically where all that stuff, when my wife and I break down like our bills and everything else, it's like, all right, here's where we're going to pull everything from and, with our budget and everything, because we kind of lump it into entertainment, so it's like I pull all that out of that particular part of entertainment stuff. Like the internet comes out of that, because I pay for the highest I can buy here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but basically you're saying what I do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, if you're going to spend $70 on your internet program and to upgrade to, from 100 megs to 500 is an extra $15 a month. Streaming's streaming pays for itself at the end of the day. That's the best part about streaming is that it can eventually pay for itself, but it can be a long shot. Like, don't upgrade your internet package and stream for 12 hours a day, hoping that some people are going to come in and help
exactly.
you.
Yes. You got to scale it. Yeah. So to put that in perspective, around where I sit, which is anywhere in between like 70 and 110 subs, that is gross $250 a month. So just some of that stuff, obviously Amazon Prime. So let's remove that. Let's remove the Amazon Prime. Let's remove Discord Nitro. Everything else is kind of like things that they're not necessary, but they enhance the experience. Like as a not partnered streamer, paying for Frankerface or BTTV is kind of a necessary thing to be able to get some custom emotes, a website for yourself, a TeamSpeak server. Again, TeamSpeak server is like $2.50 a month, but that's $100 a month. That is just under half to just maintain what I'm doing online. That doesn't count the games that you have to buy in order to play on stream or replacing hardware when it goes bad. And so like Jimmy was saying, you end up breaking even. But the greatest part about it is that you do break even. And then even after you break even, you are still creating entertainment for other people. You are still providing value for other people and other people's lives. So it's still a net positive thing. And if it can pay, if the hobby can support itself so that I can continue doing what I'm doing to hopefully bring some joy to some other people's lives, it's a plus, 100%.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why. And when it was funny, because, I was talking to my wife about this sort of issue in the last year, and she was just impressed. She was like, so basically, all the money you spend on video games now is essentially just covered by streaming.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah. Yeah. And she's like, I love it. Because she knows I'm going to play video games.
Did her blouse suddenly burst open?
Yeah. So, but she's a pretty cool lady. So
she is
pretty supportive. And
we're all lucky. We're three lucky guys with
for sure.
Yeah.
That is for goddamn sure. Okay, cool. Let's close up the topics. And I can't believe Just those couple topics lasted us like 2 hours. Like 2 hours. It's my favorite fucking part of the podcast. I love it.
Fleshy. They were fleshy.
Fleshy.
Yeah, lots of beef jerky on those bones left over. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, jumping into the question and answer. We have a couple questions that were taken from chat. I didn't post on social media that we were having a podcast today, so I'm sorry that I didn't do that. So for any of you that missed out, I apologize. However, we do have a couple questions from here in chat. Let me open up my notepad. This first one comes from M. Johnson. What are your thoughts on game streaming services like Stadia and xCloud? Will these services attract any serious competitive gamers or just casuals looking for some quick fun?
I've heard that the latency on those is not great.
120 milliseconds.
So if you're trying to play a game that requires, which a lot of competitive gaming, I mean, you don't want to have much latency at all. I mean, it might. I don't know. I think, again, this goes to it's a subscription model type service deal for these sorts of things, right? I mean, I think it's probably going to be more for casuals, I guess, than it is going to be for. I think it'd be cool if, like, you could go somewhere and you could easily play a new title. Like if you're like at a hotel or something, you can just play a new title off your laptop or, your laptop. Maybe it's not nearly as good as your computer at home or like on a TV with a controller or something because it's all integrated. I mean, that's really cool. But those competitive professional gamers, they're pretty particular about the stuff that they use, even all the way down to like the monitors they use, the mouse they use. So if you're going to tell them that you're going to introduce a good amount of latency just because it's a streamable game, I just don't see for any type of game that requires, which most competitive gaming is. It's not like you have competitive turn-based gamers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's
other
not
than
those types
Hearthstone,
of games.
which is still RNG.
Yeah.
It's like there's a meme in esports. It's called M-Omegalol BLE, and that's mobile. Right? People laugh at mobile esports. They think it's fucking stupid because it's not the competitive, like it's like having a bunch of Volkswagen Beetles racing in NASCAR instead of NASCAR. Instead of like 1600 horsepower cars. It's like the mobile esports can't, like, there's a massive audience there, but eventually you have to funnel that audience into the real thing. Right. And I'll go back to this company I'm working for. That's what they're trying to do with motorsports. Right. So like get kids onto like look at Fortnite. Right. And with what we're doing in motorsports, we're copying this model. We get kids interested in the game through mobile. Right. So they play the game on a phone, which everyone has. Diablo 3. Wait, you guys don't have phones? You fucking losers? So you get kids interested from the base level where they can play on a mobile device, and then you push them into, putting them on an Xbox, on a PC, and then eventually put them in a racing simulator, right? So that's what we're ultimately trying to do. I think Jimmy's 100% right. I think that competitive gaming can happen anywhere, right? And this is kind of counterintuitive to his point, but I'm sure he would agree with me here. It can happen on any device. All it takes, esports and competitive gaming and competitive players will play on anything if they can beat someone else. People are competitive by nature. So regardless of what the device is, they'll figure out if it was a fucking stick, people would find a way to make it a competitive thing, right? People will do it. Foursquare, bitch! They'll have their Fortnite edits with like really bullshit designs and this crappy rap beat music, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm a free agent for this team." So it's if people will find any way to make something competitive, but if there's an alternative, people aren't going to do it. People aren't going to play Stadia when they can play Fortnite on Stadia if they can play it on Xbox or PC, right? But it's a way to introduce kids that have access to that. On the counterpoint, when it's these subscription things, I probably won't get a Stadia because I don't really have a need to, because I have a gaming PC. I have an Xbox One XS, some bullshit.
One S.
Yeah, it's the brand new one. I've played it maybe 4 times, and it just sits in the thing over there. It does nothing. So it's like I have the upper echelon of gaming. I'm not going to go and step down and try a subscription model based thing. I think it's cool what subscription models are doing, allowing people to get into games. Just like I said earlier, If you want to try out a game, you could subscribe for $15 instead of buying a $60 copy of a game.
Or a $500 console.
Yeah, or a $500 console. So it's cool, but the latency is a massive problem. I feel like people don't really notice latency. It's more server-based latency right now. But imagine every time you touch your thumbsticks, there's a latency there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people know lag based on multiplayer games. If they shoot and something doesn't happen, you know what I mean? It's like the latency that we're seeing on the stream right now.
Right.
Like every move and action that you make, it honestly makes you feel stupid. I'm sure that there's a way to delay your desktop if you're playing a game. Like open up OBS and delay it and watch yourself play it and see if you can play on the other screen. Like it's going to make you feel completely brain dead.
Yep.
So I don't know how they're going to combat that. There's a big story with 5G is coming out. I used to work with a few companies. One of them was Net Insight, who's behind 5G and Verizon digital media services. 5G is not going to roll out for another 10 years. It's going to be a slow rollout. It's not like tomorrow they're going to have like a ribbon cutting and boom, 5G is available.
Exactly.
Your phone's going to connect to it. It's going to take some time. So for me, I'm not interested at all in Stadia.
Two things to say about Stadia. One, competitive tournaments still have on-site game servers where the people compete. And it still fucks up. It still sucks sometimes. So I think the competitive aspect is going to be way, way far out. I saw some article that Google was going to introduce negative latency. Like, okay, so you just like built a fucking time machine where you can just remove time from the fucking space continuum? No. I think the day where I can play Outer Worlds on my PC and then I can walk to my living room and dock my phone on my TV dock and then pull out my controller and continue to play the same exact game.
You can already do it. You can do it with Steam Link. I play World of Warcraft in my bed on my phone.
Right.
Just with Steam Link.
Right.
Yeah.
But like when you're talking about going in remote places or like it's a little with the latency thing.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Or, just like when it's that involved or when it's that advanced, I will think about it. But again, like I have computers connected to every device where I'm playing.
NDI.
Right, yeah, NDI and everywhere. So I don't care about it whatsoever. I just today, I was like, man, I feel like whenever I watch back my streams, when they're in 720p, 60 FPS, I'm like, I can't tell if my stream looks shitty or if it's just 60 FPS because I play at 144 all the time. But man, it's like, it's what you get used to.
I played a shooter. I think it was Siege. I accidentally switched it back to 60 FPS and I was playing it and I was like, dude, I feel like I need a coffee. I feel brain dead. And that's just, it's like once you get used to something, you try it somewhere else. It's super tough. What you were saying with the negative latency, because I remember seeing that with Stadia because there's a bunch of headlines about latency. I'm almost 100% sure there was a developer or a software engineer that was like, so we could predict what players are ultimately going to try to do, and we could create instances where we're ahead of time on that. And the theory of negative latency is possible because it's entirely possible. But do you know how many instances you would have to have that would, because ultimately, like, it's like a, what do they call that? Where there's like another universe on top of yours, like layered universes, right?
Parallel universe?
Yeah.
Parallel universes, right? So depending on what choices you make, you're kind of bouncing around in those different universes.
Thank you, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
So like having these different layers of what the player is ultimately planning on doing. And then depending on what that player chooses, it's jumping between those parallel choices. So you have different instances of this game that are overlapping. It's entirely possible. But do you know how much processing it would take to predict every action that the user was going to make? It would be ultimately impossible. Like every time that in a shooter game, every shot that you take would have to be predicted if it's going to shoot, if it's going to hit, or if it's going to miss, right?
Dude, robots are taking our jobs and they're taking our ability to play video games.
They're going to be playing it for us.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. So I don't know. Personally, like I said, it's too far. It's too far.
We'll when it gets rolled out and we see how it reacts in the real world, we'll make our decisions then. Next question from Rebel Ruby. Elliot, why are your nails so shiny?
Oh, what a great question. Today, I found a box underneath the sink, and it had all of Casey's nail stuff in it. And I looked at my nails, and from playing WoW, like I said, WoW PvP Phase 2 just released a few days ago, and it's been like 500 versus 500 people in South Shore, which is a part of the map, just destroying each other. I'll post some pictures on Discord. It's amazing. It's just like this big mash of bullshit happening. But whenever you're questing out in the world, you have to be like, I just sit there and like eat my nails because there's going to be a 50, like I'll just be sitting killing a little fucking dragon, and then 50 people will show up and just steamroll me and murder me. So I've been really stressed out. But since I found this, her little nail kit, I was like, you know what? My nails look like bullshit. So I started filing them. And then she's like, oh, try this. So I did like the next step of it. And now I'm like at the point where my nails are like, it looks like I have like a little glossy little fingertips.
Oh my goodness. Gamers in 2019.
Dude, my fingers need to be perfect for the 90s I crank out, dude. I'm going to be
Oh, God. All right. Next question comes from Paul. Where the fuck can I get a peanut butter stout?
There's Guadalupe Brewing has a good pecan chocolate stout that's really good. I think you might be able to get that out in Kentucky because I think Guadalupe ships nationwide. I don't know what's available in your area. You'd probably just have to. I'd be willing to bet if you were to type peanut butter stout Kentucky, you might get a couple of leads.
I feel like that sounds like a sex move.
Yeah. Also, you make sure you got your safe search on for that. Okay. But yeah, man, I would imagine that's such a niche type of beer that I don't think that there's a bunch of them out there, but they probably aren't ones that are mass distributed. You know what I mean? All over the place. So it's probably, you got to find out what's available to your, to your region. So.
And I guess I'm spoiled because I can go to my liquor store and go, hey, order me this. And then they'll call me when it comes in and I haven't done that in a super, super long time because, as you know, Jimmy, the liquor store near us has so much fucking beer that I never go and say, oh, man, they don't have what I need. But they're like that where you can just order something from them.
Yeah, that is cool.
Last question from...
Go ahead. I was going to ask Jimmy. Jimmy, have you ever had an event where someone, based on your recommendation, goes and buys that item and shows it to you? I know that Knackers did it at the beginning of the stream. He bought Mezcal because someone else. But
and it is great. I love it.
Yeah, I've had some people that have bought some of the beers that I drink on stream and stuff, like and have tried them because I told them about them. So it's mainly beers, you know. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely, for sure. That's more than once, actually. Yeah, that's happened.
Conbot asks, what is the coolest fictional thing ever created and why is it a lightsaber?
That's it, man. The lightsaber is...
I've been trying to think of something else since I read this question in my mind, and I cannot think of any other like fictional item other than the talismans from Jackie Chan Adventures.
I think a portal gun. I think a portal gun's cooler than a lightsaber.
Ooh, and the gravity gun from Half-Life 2 is actually pretty dope as well.
Fuck lightsaber.
I mean, portal guns are awesome, and there's certainly way more functionality you could have with a portal gun than a fucking lightsaber. But just if you gave me the choice between having a portal gun and a lightsaber, I'd still have to go fucking lightsaber. Yeah, just because it's
Jimmy,
a lightsaber.
I think you get one hand job through a portal and it would be all over for you, dude. I think that you would change your mind immediately. I think you'd change your mind.
It's like a glory hole in the future.
You could do with a portal gun, right?
Dude,
that'd be incredible.
You could get glory hold from another state. Like you just go into the restaurant, go into the bathroom, fucking portal hole, glory hole. Oh, that's all like, dude, I got a hand job from fucking Texas today. How cool is that?
Yeah. That would be, yeah.
I could cut a hole in a wall with a lightsaber, and then I'd go to prison for 16 years because I used my lightsaber.
Fuck that. I got a portal gun. As soon as literally you take a flight one way, you'd shoot a portal in your house, you take a flight one way, you shoot a portal on the other side, and then you can go home real quick to take a shit. And then you come back. You know what I mean?
Oh, see, now that's pretty smart.
So
that's pretty smart.
If you open up a portal in Alabama where your cousin lives and you fly back to Detroit and you get oral from your cousin in Alabama, is it wrong? Because
that's a great question. Because in Arizona, it's illegal to have oral sex. So I could actually portal to you.
Wait.
Or I could just put my penis. Yeah, in Arizona, it's one of these laws that hasn't been sorted out yet, where it's illegal to give or have oral sex. I don't know if they've rectified it, but it was a funny memey thing. Like, no one's ever going to go to prison for sucking a dick, but
until the other person gets cancer.
True. Maybe. But I'm pretty sure prison's the place where you end up sucking dick. So that's kind of like it goes both ways, right? Portal gun, fuck a lightsaber. Come on. Who had that dumbass question? Get him out of here.
Oh my God.
Hey, Portal gun, I just like the way the lightsaber hums, man. Just sounds so cool.
Don't portals have a good sound?
Portals do too.
Like
what about a lightsaber through a portal?
What about a lightsaber that can open up portals?
Oh, okay. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God.
All right. Whatever. So, I mean, in conclusion, just fly to Alabama if you want to fuck your cousins, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All and right. If they piss you off, then you cut them in half.
Long ways. Make sure you do it long ways. All right, everybody. That is the end of the Q&A, and it is also the end of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. We had a fucking blast. Because we didn't get a chance to do this at the beginning of the podcast, what we'll do is we are going to go around the room, introduce everybody to you, and they're going to announce their social media, where you can find them online, and then we'll close this up. So, Bishop, we'll start with you, buddy.
I am BishopGP, aka Elliot Bishop. I used to do that all the time instead of doing it the other way around, even though it's supposed to be the other way around. But I am a streamer. I haven't been streaming super actively. I haven't streamed a little bit, just like I said in this podcast. But you can find me on Twitter if you want to continue the conversation at Bishop Was Here. On Instagram, which I don't really use, Elliot Bishop. I need to start being more active. I need to drink my own medicine and start doing things on other platforms more than I am doing now. But those are the two best ways to get a hold of me, or just hop in Discord. And yeah.
My name is Jimmy, aka MiddleAgedStream. You can find me on Twitch and Instagram at MiddleAgedStream. MiddleAgedStream on Twitter, no D. The rest of this week, let's see, this Wednesday and Saturday, and pretty much I'll be playing the new Star Wars game until I beat it. And then with the only exception being a week from this, can you believe it's already that close? A week from this coming Friday, Knackers and I are going to be dual streaming Super Mario World on the Nintendo Switch, playing online. Gonna kick that game's ass. It should be a lot of fun. And I'm actually looking forward, because I've never I've been streaming on Twitch coming up on 5 years, and I've never actually done a dual stream
at all.
Like with me streaming. I've been guest on other people's streams and played games. I have never streamed and played with someone else on my stream, with the exception of like Jackbox game stuff. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Push to mute. Make sure you guys have it set up.
Oh yeah.
You better get your mic etiquette in check before we go live, or I will end stream so fast.
I'm gonna have dedicated buttons. I'm gonna have all kinds of shit ready for you. Okay.
Okay.
I promise.
All right. Remember, it just goes back to, I don't know, like months, possibly even years ago, we had this conversation on how I had gotten into it I hadn't gotten into it, but I had voiced an opinion on Twitter. And somebody said, like, no, when you're multi-streaming, everybody needs to keep their mics wide open, and everybody celebrates everybody's subs at the same time. Like, oh, God.
You're a moron.
Sick. Anyways, my name is Knackers. You guys can find me on this very channel, or Twitter and Instagram with Knackers at 3 A's. You can find me on TikTok soon at some point, but we'll worry about that another day.
And
again,
on the corner of 32nd and Broadway at after 3 a.m.
Or if you go into Red Lobster in Alabama and you find a portal in a stall, you will find my dick.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out on the podcast tonight. I will be back next Sunday for a 1v1 with Lobo, aka Lobo Styles. He's a influencer relations manager for Reverb Games. He's a fellow techie, a photographer, and I'm pretty excited to get into some conversation with him and hear about what he does in the industry. So again, thank you guys so much. If you want to stick around to raid another channel and help spread the love, I would really appreciate it. But otherwise, you guys have a great night and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Fucking bye-bye.